like hot tea, cold water. Shit's way too out of order. Hot tea, cold water. Shit's way too out of order.
Once again, we are here in the studio.
We gotta protect sons, protect daughters.
Just getting ready, getting set up. Waiting for Maria to hit the room.
Hot tea, cold water.
It's gonna be a good show, y'all.
Too often I've seen the selfish side of things. People take pride in making nightmares of your dreams. So it seems that there are no in-betweens. Draw a line in the sand, hold it down the best you can as a man. Life's much more than getting loot, or a boot you can toot, or a gun you can shoot. To the real I salute, always leading with the truth. However far we got a troop, we rip the evil from the root. I ain't trying to be cute, I ain't dying to be cute. I need to know who invested in my town, going Beirut. Major damage of J-Root, meaning we gon' damage you. Hand in hand, anyone with a mind can see it's true. Take my lyrics as a clue, I know you know what to do. And with time, I know that you will find that it's in you.
Yeah, this is the Can't Be Silence podcast.
Tea, cold water.
With your host, Maria Davis.
My spot cemented, like a city block cemented. My soul is cemented. Yeah. Scared from the blood. Yeah.
Ride with me, y'all. Let's go.
Hot tea, cold water.
Again, yeah. Can't Be Silence podcast.
Shit is way too out of order.
We got a lot to talk about. This is part 2 of last week's show, where we discuss human trafficking in real time.
It's like hot tea, cold water.
Yep.
Shit is way too out of order. Protect sons, protect daughters. It's like hot tea, cold water. Check this out, man. Nowadays, everybody got mob ties. Why do we want to be tied to the mob? They send slugs to their people, they send drugs to our people. Is this why we want to be equal? It's getting cloudy, I'm just piercing the fog. That's where the Alpha Bay. I can smell a phony Tony from a block away. I'm so focused, I'm so focused. They so bogus, they so bogus.
Yep, make sure you guys are all on mute.
You've been afflicted with a sickness, ain't no sense in running.
Sounds
Stand and face your judgment. Fuck you in your budget.
With your host Maria Davis and Dean Womack.
Golden nuggets now, pass the chicken. Finger licking, counting money till they stop the printing. Even if they stop the printing, you see my spot cemented like a city block cemented.
Maria will be in momentarily.
Yours counterfeited. I'm way more committed.
Just making sure you guys are in the room, y'all.
To a line for vultures.
We got one hell of a show today. One hell of a show.
It's like hot tea, cold water. Shit's way too out of order.
Yeah, Maria just entered the building.
Hot tea, cold water. Shit's way too out of order.
Godmother Hip Hop's in the house. Quick lights all spray down.
We gotta protect sons, protect daughters. Hot tea, cold water.
Once again, Can't Be Silence is in the building.
Too often I've seen the selfish side of things. People take pride in making nightmares of your dreams. So it seems that there are no in-betweens. Draw a line in the sand, hold it down the best you can as a man. Life's much more than getting loot, or a boot you can toot, or a gun you can shoot. To the real I salute, always leading with the truth. However far we got a troop, we rip the evil from the root. I ain't trying to be cute, I ain't dying to be cute. I need to know who invested in my town, going
Yeah, Maria's in the house. Just get comfortable, hang out for a minute.
Anyone with a mind can see it's true. Take my lyrics as a clue, I know you know what to do. And with time, I know that you will find
stuff on mute.
Hot tea, cold water.
Yeah, sources tell us police are looking into whether this was a person having a mental health crisis.
Spot cement, like a city block cement.
On your Zoom, please, please, please. Mute your phones, mute your computers.
Hey, brother, I'm just telling you hello.
And hello to you.
Yeah, I'm just letting you know.
I got you, baby.
You heard what I said?
Nah, what'd you say?
I said I'm bringing all my brothers on.
Shit's
it's far away from California.
Oh, okay. Oh, we're gonna be crazy.
I told you I'm coming back.
You come back with the heat.
It's like
That's right.
hot tea, cold water.
All right, give me a few. I'm getting set up. Maria's sitting down. Let me get her all set
right.
up.
Do
All
your
right.
thing.
It's way too out of order. Protect sons, protect daughters. It's like hot tea, cold water. Check this out, man. Nowadays, everybody got mob ties. Why do we want to be tied to the mob? They send slugs to their people, they send drugs to our people. Is this why we want to be equal? It's getting cloudy, I'm just piercing the fog. That's where the Alpha Bay. I can smell the phony Tony from a block away. I'm so focused, I'm so focused. They so bogus, they so bogus. We serve notice that there's evictions coming. You've been afflicted with a sickness, ain't no sense in running. Stand and face your judgment. Fuck you and your budget. You can hate it, but you gotta love it. Golden nuggets now, pass the chicken. Finger licking, counting money till they stop the printing. Even if they stop the printing, you see my spots a minute, like a city block cemented. Yeah, my soul is minted, yours counterfeited. I'm way more committed, forever counterculture. To a line for vultures. It's like hot tea, cold water. Shit's way too out of order. Hot tea, cold water. Shit's way too out of order. We gotta protect sons, protect daughters. Hot tea, cold water. Too often I've seen the selfish side of things. People take pride in making nightmares of your dreams. So it seems that there are no in-betweens. Draw a line in the sand, hold it down the best you can as a man. Life's much more than getting loot, or a boot you can toot, or a gun you can shoot. To the real I salute, always leading with the truth. However far we got a troop, we rip the evil from the root. I ain't trying to be cute, I ain't dying to be cute. I need to know who invested in my town, going Beirut. Major damage to J-Root, meaning we gon' damage you. Hand in hand, anyone with a mind can see it's true. Take my lyrics as a clue, I know you know what to do. And with time, I know that you will find that it's in you. Hot tea, cold water. See my spot cemented, like a city block cemented. My soul is minted. Yeah. Scared of from the blood. Yeah. Enlightened. Hot tea, cold water. Shit is way too out of order. It's like hot tea, cold water. Shit is way too out of order. Protect sons, protect daughters.
What mic you was on Friday? Let me not be on this mic. Oh, you was over there. Okay. Why we don't have Mandy sitting over here?
Nowadays, everybody got mob ties.
She might not want to sit next to you though. Come on over
They
here.
send slugs to their people, they send drugs to our people. Is this why we want to be equal? It's getting cloudy, I'm just piercing the fog. That's where the Alpha Bay. I can smell the phony Tony from a block away. I'm so focused, I'm so focused. They so bogus, they so bogus. We serve notice that there's evictions coming. You've been afflicted with a sickness, ain't no sense in running. Stand and face your judgment. Fuck you and your budget. You can hate it, but you gotta love it. Golden nuggets now, pass
you are
the
now the
chicken.
host.
Finger licking, counting
You're the
money
host,
till they
Janine.
stop the printing. Even if they stop the printing, you see my spots cemented, like a city block cemented. Yeah, my soul is minted, yours counterfeited. I'm way more committed, forever counterculture. To a line for vultures. It's like hot tea, cold water. Shit's way too out of order. Hot tea, cold water. Shit's way too out of order. We gotta protect sons, protect
All right, Joe,
daughters.
Maria's in the chair. We're about to start.
Hot hot tea, cold water. Too often I've seen the selfish side of things. People take pride in making nightmares of your dreams. So it seems that
Maria's in the building. Maria, your mic is on.
hold it down the best you can as a man. Life's much more than getting loot or a boot you can toot or a gun you can shoot.
You gotta say that every time outside.
Holy Spirit,
If the
activate.
virus try to get from the next
Holy Spirit, activate. Invested in my town, major damage at your meaning we gon' damage you.
Pray over the microphone.
Pray over the microphone.
On the outside. See, all in the Asian country, they spraying in the air.
Yeah.
Come down, I bought Lysol, spraying it in the air. Good evening, good morning, and good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Howdy doody.
Time to hit the button.
What's the weather?
The weather today right now is 36 degrees and it's cloudy outside.
And it's snowing, because I just came from
It's
outside.
snowing now?
It's snowing.
So the snow is back. As you can see, I got Maria Davis in the house. She has a special guest in the house. And I'm Rock Logic, and I'm hanging in there. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
All the way from Australia, but we'll talk about that later.
Yes. Mandy.
Mandy from Australia, Mandy Faith. A lot of times you guys will see her in the chat room.
Yes.
She'll be in the chat room, so she's actually here from Australia.
In the physical. That's nice.
Physical. So we loving that. I'm gonna hit the button, y'all, and bang.
And bang. First thing I want to say is Happy Martin Luther King Day.
Yes.
Now, his actual birthday was Friday the 15th. His actual name is Michael, not Martin. Martin came later on.
Yeah.
So we want to let people know that. So do your research. And there is a documentary. I don't know if they're playing it now, but when I was going to school, I had to see that as a educational piece called King in the Wilderness. And it gives you a whole nother view of Martin Luther King. I hope they're playing that today or over the weekend they played it. But it also is a day of service. So in the chat room, I would like somebody to know some of what y'all have done this weekend. That was a day of service. On Friday, I did HIV testing in pantry at my church, First Corinthian Baptist Church. On Saturday, we gave out over 1,000 plus coats beginning at 11 a.m. And we had COVID testing, vaccines, and boosters on Saturday. Then on Sunday, I did a community feeding and we gave out toys. So that is what I did for my day of service. And then today, not even knowing that we're doing trafficking and we're doing domestic violence today, this is a perfect day to do it. These are some of the things that Martin Luther King talked about, some of the strategies about helping our people, getting us to the next level. So what did you do in the span of this weekend to make a difference in your community, or not even only in your community, but in your family, your grandchildren, your children, your nieces, your nephews? Did anybody do anything this weekend? Put it in the chat room, please. I would like to know that.
I'll let you know right now because you got some answers. So, let's see. Food pantry.
Yes.
Coat drive. That was Kashonda.
Good.
Right? Vaccine and COVID testing.
That's Kashonda. Yes, she sure did. She did the day of service with me.
Courtney said youth development program.
Yes.
International anti-racism.
Oh, I like that. Well, I look blurry. We look blurry.
Oh, yeah. Hold on, let me show
Yeah, come on, fix us up. You look good, and you got the ladies looking crazy, and you looking good. Yeah, sharpen us up. Look, I look blurry, and I got glasses on, and I saw we were looking blurry. All right, in the chat room, do we look clear now?
Because we was blurry a minute ago.
Janine, do we look clear? Janine is not with us. Get well, Janine.
Oh, yeah, okay. No. Huh?
We still look blurry? Oh, okay. All right. There you go. There you have it.
Interesting. Someone has National Slavery and Human Trafficking Awareness Month as their thing.
Oh, wonderful. That's right. I didn't put my blue up, and I'm going to do it tonight because this is Human Trafficking Month. and Miss Erica sent it out to everybody. She sent it to me, and my profile should be blue right now. So forgive me. I will be blue. How about OSG? Where's Lays? Call Lays. We need Lays on this conversation today.
Yeah, we getting him today.
Yeah, we getting him today. So without further ado, how was everybody's weekend? Good? Rested? Prayer?
World, Channel 21.
Oh,
TV, Channel 21.
somebody said Channel 21. Is that King in the Wilderness?
And then what's name comes on after that?
Hey, Susie.
We hear somebody's television.
Hey, Susie Johnson. Ah, there you go. We got her on mute now.
Oh, okay. So we have a full room and we have a full schedule today because as some may know, some may not know, last week we did human trafficking, domestic violence with Erica Ewing. Last week it was a phenomenal. Let me tell you something. We all called each other, Tashawn and all of us, and said, Erica understood the assignment. She came with guns blazing.
She was focused.
She was focused. And you felt the focusedness too.
Yeah, you did.
Is there a word called focusedness?
It is now.
Focusedness.
All right, Jesse Jackson make him up all the time. Focusedness.
Focusedness.
Yeah,
So, where's Erica? Is Erica here?
Yeah, she's in the room.
Oh,
She came in early.
can we put her on speaker's view?
Erica.
Hey,
There you go.
Oh, there she is.
happy MLK Day weekend service.
Yes,
Everybody.
and thank you for
Maria, I
all.
know you were out there busy, busy. Harlem was booming. Harlem was buzzing. You held Harlem down. Thank you for that. I held some things down personally when you talk about what to do for MLK Day. I actually helped a parent, okay, from a kid being lured into possibly commercial sexual exploitation.
Wow. And you sent us all those wonderful Martin Luther King. She was sending us all kind of King.
I sent so many things out for people to get involved with the Join Blue Month because we don't want to just talk about this one day. We want to really keep this conversation going. And I'm really going to talk a lot on this segment about the show and how we do that responsibly, right? And I just want to give a definitely acknowledge because we got some men in the building. And I just want to say Omega Psi Phi, First Grand Vive Basilisk Ricky Lewis is here.
All right, Ricky
Kevin
Lewis.
Woodhouse. Kevin Woodhouse, Corey is here. Michael Logan, Basilisk New Talk Chapter. Dr. Boyd is here. Giovanni Owens is here. Shout out to and happy Founders Day to Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated. That's Tashana Pace, Dr. Pivot, and Taryn Diebler from Albany. And so we have some people coming from all the way from even, I saw Atlanta, Georgia. Lillian Minton is on the call with us today. And I just want to say that this is definitely something that the entire country needs to stand up about. And when we talk about awareness, Maria, a lot of questions came out. A lot of people started talking like, oh my God, I didn't realize that. Even the people working in domestic violence spaces did not really realize the pervasiveness of this crime, right? And I think last week, Denise Womack asked, well, why wasn't it illegal when I was talking about my uncles and all that? Well, really, it wasn't really considered a federal crime until 2000. To 2000, right? There was an act that was said, okay, this is a federal crime, it's a crime. They really weren't doing that before, right? And that's because of the language. You know, recently we have some bills that have been signed by Hochul, and everybody's saying that we're going to help support survivors. One's about debt bondage and helping those that have been trafficked get out of debt because you hear the credit card frauds, but that's you got to think about how that connects to sex trafficking, right? And labor trafficking. So there's some acknowledgement that someone that gets out of trafficking or in the life of trafficking has to have a lot of supports. It's just not one thing. It's a lot of things. And depending on the nature of the crime, how long it was going on, when it started, we really have a lot of work to do. And that's what I want to talk about today is like the community care piece. because we don't talk enough about that. And it starts with the fact that the sensationalism, Maria, of the R. Kelly, right? Everybody talked about that. They saw that, and it was almost like you had the world choosing sides.
Yes.
But there's only one side, Maria. They were all victims. That's the first side, including the perpetrator. So we have to really start to reimagine what the advocacy and what the support looks like.
So wait, before we get into all of that, let me introduce you.
Oh, okay.
Properly. So today our guest is Miss Erica Lucille Ewing. Y'all know already, you done heard her. Erica Lucille Ewing is a social impact entrepreneur, fashion designer, activist, and actor. Erica grew up in the Westbury, New York, but later on moved to Harlem, where she has lived for the past 22 years. Erica holds a Bachelor's of Art from Smith College and as a Master of Fine Arts in Theater Arts from Rutgers University. She is a member of Delta Sigma Theta sorority. In 2018, Erica started Got to Stop LLC, a social impact consulting company committed to advocacy, education, and social justice reform. Combining her skills as a fashion designer and community activist, Erica launched the Got to Stop social impact fashion brand to spark awareness and ignite critical conversations about injustice, systematic racism, and oppression. In 2019, she co-organized and produced Black Lives Matter mural, which was wonderful, in Harlem. Erica believes in the power of the arts to heal, ignite, and be a catalyst for social justice change and transformation. Got to Stop LLC is not a movement, but it's a lifestyle. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Erica Lucille Ewing.
Thank you, Maria. You read so nice. You read so Hi, shout out to my sorors that are on the call. Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated for definitely being here, being a part of this conversation. In New York, if you don't know, New York Alumni Chapter is the first graduate chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, and we started doing these symposiums way back in the 2000s and 90s. So this conversation is something we brought to the community. I have to give credit to Yasmin Hurston. You know her. She's been a community leader in
Please
Harlem.
Mute yourself. I'm sorry, Erica. Please mute yourself while she's talking. Thank you. Go ahead.
When they brought it to the chapter, it was explosive. And what we're noticing about this conversation and why I think that it is so important right now is as we talked about it and continue to talk about it, we lost our men in the conversation. And I love today represents we have our men back in the conversation. We cannot do this work without our men. All right, men in the community working with youth, men in the community working with other men in the community supporting other men. And what better way but to have the men be part of this conversation, because there's a lot I have to learn from them. It's not that it's about I know everything. No, I don't know everything. I research, I study, I experience, I listen. But it's really about having a conversation that's holistic and it includes everybody that this surrounds. I tried to get an LGBTQ advocate on today. They weren't able to do that. And that's really important too. When we talk about who this impacts, it impacts everybody, boys and girls. You look at these reports online, you look at Collaborative Project, you look at human trafficking statistics, and I will tell you that you can't still get a number. You know, they say 35 million people are trafficked a year. 35 million. And it's a $35 billion business. It's even more than $150 billion business. And they put that in Forbes magazine. And I want you to know this. If you look at Forbes magazine, anybody can do this, and you put in human trafficking, they have an article about it. And I always ask, since it's a business and an industry, why would Forbes magazine want to raise awareness about human trafficking? I want y'all to think about that. What are your thoughts on that, Maria? Why do you think Forbes wants to talk about human trafficking?
Because they making money off of it. But wait, I want to make this statement that Dr. King I put up today that's so perfect. Our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter. And that's how I look at you, Erica. You're not silent about nothing.
Nah,
Your
can't.
company can't be silenced along with me. But I want to ask you this question. I want to pose this question at you. What is the comparison between domestic violence and sex trafficking? Are there similarities or are they different? Should we handle them differently, or are they one intertwined with the other?
So let's break it down. And I had this conversation with a domestic violence advocate and activist, and we really broke it down after we got off the phone. One, I'm going to say they're handled differently in terms of maybe supports, but they're not handled differently in terms of humanity. What I tend to say in domestic violence, because I've been a victim and survivor of domestic violence, is that let's say I'm in a relationship with somebody and we get in a relationship and now we just don't know how to talk to each other. We don't know how to communicate. We're constantly saying things, making digs, microaggressions towards one another. It gets very toxic, right? Domestic violence does not just have to be somebody hit you over the head and you got a big black eye, right? It could be emotional abuse. It's financial abuse, right? It's verbal abuse.
Medical abuse.
Medical abuse, definitely medical abuse. There is so many parts of it, right? The thing about trafficking that makes it really difficult when you're talking to someone that's been in that, it's hard to tell someone that person that you met did not love you at all. You are a profit. You were a product. That's what you were, and when you lose that luster, or that's not what's being hot and sold, you're gone. I mean, it's like this. You have a chicken, right? Chickens get fed every day. You feed the chicken, you take care of the chicken, right? But when you're ready to eat that chicken, you eat the chicken. The chicken is going to get eaten. Period. End of story. They're going to be at Popeyes. They're going to be at Kentucky Fried. They're going to be at Kennedy's, right? They're going to be on. That's it. You're a chicken. Chicken head. Think about the language.
True.
You were not there because you were supposed to be so loved. They're going to take care of you in exchange for what? Profit. And when that profit is gone, when they take away, they basically try to say, we're going to give you stability, but there is none.
That's a trick. It's a trick.
It's a trick. Yes.
I want to read you this statistic that Janine sent me. It is estimated that sex trafficking affects 40.3 million people globally and earns traffickers $150 billion annually, making it the world's most profitable crime. In the United States, it is most prevalent in Texas, Florida, New York, and California. How can we spread awareness, and how can the average person help? And I know you're going to talk about that as you talk, because this is a kind of step thing. And is the correlation between our missing girls and sex trafficking, are they correlated together? Are they really missing, or is someone sex trafficking them? We don't never know, right? Because look at the whole thing that happened in Atlanta. Remember all those kids that was missing in Atlanta? Nobody ever found those children.
So we're gonna have to really dig deeper, right? Because when we say a missing person goes missing, there's a lot of things about missing. We have to figure out why they're missing. So what are they missing from? They're missing from their home. They're not coming home from school. You haven't seen them a couple of days. They're a minor. They're missing. That's what you say, right? That's what they put out as a report for us to start to go find them. When somebody may do a rescue, that person to them is not missing at all. They ran away from something, or they ran to something. It's about the language, right? So is it the correlation between, is it always sex trafficking that they're missing? There's other trafficking that goes on. There's labor trafficking. There's organ trafficking. Okay, so don't forget about those things. Movies have been talked about what they're trying to say about organ trafficking and melanin and the price of melanin and a kidney even on the black market. You can get a kidney on the black market cheaper than when you can get it from your pharmaceutical company. So why do you think I got to get this kidney? Black market. They sell these things. This is real life. This is real life. When they talk about those, I think it was a young man in Atlanta, or definitely in Chicago, that when they got the body, they gutted the body out. for the organs. Yeah, that's been reported. So once again, people were trying to make a correlation between gun violence and gang violence, and what are you doing with these black male bodies when they are deceased? And who really goes to a cemetery and says, "Can I see his organs?"
Right.
Or do you just walk out and say, "Hey, you don't know what that who got paid off by the mortician? You don't know what happened at the funeral home. You don't know the funeral home making money off of that. They could be involved in the organ trafficking business."
Yeah, we don't even. Dang, Erica, stop waking us up. You know people used to be in sleep, girl. Listen, in 2004, at the age of 16, Satoya Brown was convicted of murdering a 43-year-old man who solicited her for sex. She was 14 at the time of the murder. She was sentenced to life in prison after serving 15 years. She was granted clemency. Me and Denise was laughing about that. Kim Kardashian got her off and released from prison under parole board supervision. Are there other cases like this where victims of sex trafficking become the victims of a legal system, and do laws need to be created to protect victims?
Yeah, but you got to first believe the victim, and you got to get the victim to say that that's what's happened to them. That's a big step.
All the time.
You can't. The thing about it is, the way trafficking works is the victim doesn't necessarily say they're being trafficked. They don't even know that word. That's my boyfriend. Okay. Right? That's my boyfriend. I just got into this with my boyfriend. We did this, and this is what it escalated maybe into, but you didn't think you're trafficked because they make you believe that you in some way made the decision with them.
Right.
And so if you look at really the statistics, and that's why this is an important conversation, what is the second reason or way that you get lured into trafficking? It is a familial, not a stranger in a white van.
Somebody
Familial.
know you.
You know the person. And that's why it continues. Because I could be speaking to the enemy in this audience. You understand what I'm saying? And I explained that situation with my family, right? Familial. Familial. That means you know them. They know you. They could be your mother or your father. And that's what makes it so heinous. And that's why they say, oh, it's happening in your backyard. That's great to say it's happening in your backyard. And we hear that and we look around our backyard trying to find it. But the truth of the matter is, it's about what's in your backyard that makes it possible. Because everybody doesn't have the same thing in their backyard. Some people got a lawnmower. Some people got a shed. Some people got a bench. Somebody got a swing set. Somebody got nothing. A little cement. And they put a little grill on it. And that's their backyard. So what's in your backyard can make a difference in what's happening. So when people say broken homes, I really want people to start to think about what you're saying. Just because parents are divorced doesn't mean you're broken. Doesn't mean that. But if you start to make people believe that something is wrong, right? If I start to make you play on that vulnerability, right? I can almost start to control your mindset. I can take over this emotional control. We put it in the media. Oh, you know you're not supposed to be doing that. I'm going to tell your mother. It's how you react to that. When somebody says, I'm going to tell your mother, what do you say back to that?
Is
it tell my mother?
Yeah, please don't tell my mother.
Mostly, please don't tell my mother, especially when it's something that you know your mother's against. But the worst thing that you can say is, and don't say this anymore, well, call my mother. Let me give you her number. Don't do that.
Right. Because they ain't had a number in the first place, but now you offering it to them.
There you go. And in a situation that happened just right here in the city, there was a whole conversation. Now, if anybody right now is coming back, your kid's saying, I want to have a play date in COVID, something's wrong, right? Play date in COVID, and asking you and saying that they want to go, and you're telling them you're not going. COVID, I don't know the parents. We got down to the bottom of it. Do you know that the reason why she was so adamant at 10 years old, talking to us like she's 21 about boosters and vaccinations, and she knows the family, is because the father told her that she can come over tomorrow, which trumps what your mother said. Now your mother doesn't know what she's talking about. And she said, and he's going to call you. You gave him the number, my number. Now, what happens with that number? That number is, if anything happens at her, well, we don't know if that's the father of another child, That could be anybody of another child picking up a child. You don't know what the relationship is, but you know it's familial, right? At the end of the day, she even knew the man's name. She called him Vince. She called him by his first name. How do you know this man's first name? Make you real comfortable, right? It wasn't Mr. Vince. And this is about just asking a series of questions. A lot of psychologists talk about motivational interviewing strategies, but this is how you can get kids to talk to you. So you can find out what's happening. If we didn't understand why are you being mean? Oh, you said that could go. I mean, all this was going on, and most parents say, shut up, don't talk to me anymore, and put you in a corner. No. Let's talk about why are you so upset about this? And she said, well, if he said I can come over, why can't I? It's his house. Wow. You're talking to your mother at 10 because he must have been talking to your child. Now that parent has to follow up. Do you understand? What he can do with that telephone number is if, let's say, his said child finds out that they did something, they're 10 years old, maybe they did something wrong, maybe they said a curse word. Who knows what the stakes are at this point? But he can always say, I got your mother's number, I can call her. As if to say he's gotten consent and permission. Or your mother said it was okay because in her mind, she's like, I did give him the number. That might be possible. Do you understand what's happening here? It's a very, very sinister type of trickery, coercion, that's what they call it.
Right.
And it can get you at any age and at any time.
Once she gives him the number, that creates that familiar rule that you're talking about, right? So then it's like, oh, I got your mom's number. I talked to her already. Yeah, everything's good. You cool? Yeah, I can see where that goes left. I didn't get it at first when you were saying it, but I totally get it now. Yeah.
It goes way left, and the fact that she was so adamant about it, it's as if she's a good candidate for trafficking because she's going to hold on. She's going to protect what she believes in. People watch this. This is what I'm saying, that people are preying on your children, and it's shopping season, everybody. If you don't know what shopping season is when I go shopping for what the black market says that they want for trafficking, and they get ready for the Super Bowl. So if your kid is missing this weekend and they didn't come back, trust me, they're gone. They're not coming back till after February 10th. Well, it's February 12th, it's Super Bowl. So after that. What you'll find is it'll be sometimes a going back and coming forth. But at some point, if that's on the order form, and this is the kind of thing I need for that weekend to happen, I'm going to get that.
His daughter was gone?
What you mean?
The guy at the barbershop that does the tattoos.
Oh,
remember when his daughter was gone?
Can you mute yourself, please?
So I want you to understand that this weekend, if there was some rescues done this weekend, and stings done this weekend to protect, because bottom line, they knew if they didn't get them by a certain time, especially, remember, kids are out of school.
Right.
They've been out of school with COVID, but they really prey on when they're out of school and not supervised. So there's something that happened. I'm going to say something very controversial, but I want you to look at it from the lens of where I'm coming from. When our mayor says that your kids are better off in school than they are at home, there's a reason why he's saying that. He used to work in law enforcement. This is shopping season. He might not be giving us the whole scope, but for me, I'm like, he might be right. This is the time. And it's an industry. You shop and for what you need to shop for. You got to fill quotas. We have debt bondage. We got things that we got to do. It's a chain here. So this is not something that people should take lightly, but there's a community care aspect. When you say, Maria, what we can do, one of the things that we have to do, I think Tashana would know about this, Logan would know about this, was we got to know how to talk to our kids and our youth.
Yes.
Even on the street, how we address them, how we deal with the things that we think don't make sense, but to them it makes all the sense in the world, right? Why are you singing the song? Why? Why you like that? You like that song? Why? Well, she likes it. Why does she like it? Ask her why she likes it. Ask her that she didn't even know what it means. Nope. You know what I said to one girl? I'm going to be real candid. She said, I like that song. Why? I said, you know what it means? She said, yeah. I said, what if your thing was dop? She said, what? I said, dry. A-P. Okay? That's what I said. What if it's dop? Do you know if it's WAP or dop? She's like, no. Okay. Well, maybe you shouldn't be singing that song.
Right.
Let me give you a different way to think about things. right? Let me talk to you about what's coming at you so I know how to, one, protect you, shield you. But if we don't have the conversation with them and make them a priority, especially when they're in their home and they're always on those phones and they're always, that's where the luring is happening through Facebook and Instagram. That's the top sites right in your face. YouTube just grooms them for it or seasons them for it with the different ads that they have. But that's what they're on. Why don't you ask them what they're on doing? Are you their friends? Did you make up your own little alias profile to follow them? I mean, are you clear about after 9 o'clock, I want your phone in the room on the charge?
Wow.
When do you say stop? When do you say enough social media? Or when you say, let's talk about what you're watching. Let's talk about what you're listening to. Let's talk about this music. Who's your favorite artist?
That's true.
You know, like, I mean, this is where we start to really have connections with our kids that are authentic. Because once again, they can be helping a friend and not even knowing it. They could be telling you and helping you understand. But I want to say, when you say signs, people ask me this all the time, and I get really nervous about saying signs, because you need to be in proximity and context. You have to have a context for which you can say this is actually happening, and in proximity. Just because you see a scared girl coming into a restaurant and then she gets in a car and you think the person looks strange, that doesn't mean she's being trafficked. Do you understand? She could just be looking scared and he's just strange. I mean,
Erica, quick thing. Your earring keeps tapping the microphone.
Oh, sorry.
I was like, why is it tapping? What is that?
I'm sorry.
And I looked and I said, oh, it's the earring. Okay.
Listen, it's a price to be beautiful. Stop it.
I know.
She just got to tap the mic.
So you understand what I'm saying? That you have to really be very, very astute in terms of what are you listening for? What are you looking at? You're not, and also everything is not called law enforcement right away. You could be putting somebody in danger.
Very true.
You have to understand, if it's familial, do you think it's that easy to get someone out of this lifestyle? If it's familial?
Very true.
Person that they know, raised them, that they believe loves them, cares about them. And that's why I said, what's going on in our community? Unstable housing is definitely a great condition for trafficking. We have unstable housing right now in New York.
We do.
Do you understand? We have refrigerators on blocks saying people are hungry. What are we doing to fix up our conditions that are in our backyard? What are we doing? And that's where you start the work. You know, Maria, when you get those young men to start helping you set up, you're giving them something to do. You're giving them some type of status. You feed people, but you also say, help me with a chair. And they start picking it. Maria don't have to do anything. She walked down the street with one, she can't carry a bag. The community is ready to help. People need to feel like they are part of the community and not just nuisances. And kids might start feeling like they're nuisances. You always want something. You always look at them for something. That we got to change that. And I know it might be difficult, but vent with your friends away from your kids. You can vent, but your kids are listening.
Girl, say that again, please.
The kids are listening. Your frustration during COVID, what's going on with you, they're internalizing all of that, and that makes them say, well, I'm not going to have enough for this, or I can't go here, and I can't do this. They hear that burden. Parentification starts going on. I got to take care of my family. I got to take care of this, and I got to make sure, well, she can't get it for me, somebody else is going to get it. You know, but explain to your kid why they can't have a bundle. Maybe you were giving bundles all the time and now you run out of bundle money. Ain't no bundles no more. So what else can we do? How do we shift this and say, well, wait, maybe we could find other styles? Or how do you really work with them instead of no? And then you're not replacing no with anything. Somebody else will replace that no. Trust me with a yes.
Oh, yes. Yes.
And that's what I want people to understand. Your no ain't that strong anymore.
That's right.
Erica,
it's
really
not.
quickly. Erica, really quickly, talk about what you were talking about when it's sports time, because a lot of people don't understand.
Yeah, a lot of sex go on during them basketball all-star weekends.
Right now,
yes,
there's a lot of people that's heading to the Super Bowl or even Daytona 500. See, we just know about basketball and football. Last week when we were on, I purposely talked about sports. And when I talked about the sports, a lot of people, like Erica said, these people are familiar. They're your coaches of your little kids. They're these people that around your kids, training your kids and things like that. But it's very important to know, and that's why I brought so many guys on today, just because sometimes we don't know. I mean, I take a real good look at everything that goes on when it's surrounding my child. But sometimes we don't. We let them go away with coaches. We let them go to Florida. We let them go to these different sporting events. But do we really know what's happening at these sporting events? And I explained to you before about the 2 children last year that didn't come home, and they still haven't come home. So we need to also look into. And sports is a big trafficking system.
Tell us about that situation again, Mike.
Oh yeah, there were 2. There was a football team that went to Florida. They went down to play the championship. When they came back from Florida, the 2 kids weren't there. Nobody couldn't tell the parents where the kids were. Now, you would think that coming back on a plane, you would know that these kids were missing. It was a big deal for a while, and then you really didn't hear no more after it. But going down there, they knew those kids wasn't coming back. I truly believe that when they went down there, something they like talking about being familiar. They know that these parents were not going to be really concerned or worried. I'm not saying about them coming back, but going down there and trusting these coaches with their children. And when they came back, they didn't have that stable or support system to really go after the coaches. And, you ask the coaches now, what happened to the kids? And the coaches is like, their football team folded, by the way. So by the football team folding, people can disappear, people can do X, Y, Z. But you really have to understand when you put your kids into these programs, who is training your children?
That's right.
Because guess what? They're listening to instructions from coaches, right? When the coach says do this, I'm going to do that. And as a male, when I'm playing a sport, machoism kicks in, right? So the coach says, yo, go over there, run through that wall. You go run through the wall. Yeah, the coach says, yeah, go down the block, go down there and get me a soda or something. You're going to go down there, somebody snatches you. So we have to be very, very careful in the sports world. You may not think of it. And a lot of times from the women's side, they put their kids in sports, maybe because of absent father is not there.
Absolutely.
A father is not there.
That's right.
They say, listen, I want him to learn how to be a man, so I'm going to take you to this football program, and you turn your kid over to the coach. You don't know what that coach really
is a pedophile. That's right. You don't know if he's a pedophile.
No, I'm not saying that they all are, but I'm saying you still have to wonder what, I'm looking at my kid all the time. If there's a coach patting my kid on the butt 5-6 times a day, I gotta say something. If there's a coach doing something inappropriate to my child, I have to say something. I'm one of those parents. I have to say something. But a lot of us let it go.
Right.
We just let it go.
Because we trust.
We just sit there and watch.
We trust that individual. Yeah, we trust that individual.
What did they do to earn that trust? Just because they're a coach? Just because they're on a winning team? Just because they've won championships?
But I would also add, because this language thing, and Dr. Coraline Griffith Hunt is on with me. She's a trauma psychologist, and I work with her. She does human industrial trauma psychology. She's talks about this issue with me. She's done trainings with me. And one thing, think about the language now. We say it takes a village to raise a child. A trafficker can use that against a child.
Right.
I'm your village.
Right.
It's not just your mother and father.
Right.
Do you understand how we have to really now do more explaining and why
trafficking
about what's really happening? Language, how you're talking to your children about things, how you're making them explain about how do you trust? Where does trust come from? Right? Trusting their instincts is really important. Don't tell kids to go hug Auntie Maria. They may not want to hug Auntie Maria.
That's right.
And it's not disrespectful if they do not want to hug Auntie Maria. That's not the thing. We don't push kids into saying that's my salutation. I always hug the adults when I say bye. You start getting used to that. Now, what if that hug becomes uncomfortable, but now you've made it like it's disrespectful if you don't say bye with a hug? We're putting our kids in these positions where we're not giving them voice. And when you don't give them voice, how can they speak? How will they know the difference?
Wow.
You know, they won't know.
Well, I want to introduce. We have Mandy sitting next to me. She's from Australia, and she was listening to our conversation last week, and she was telling us that the same thing goes. Like, tell us who you are, what you do.
Okay, so my name's Amanda, and first of all, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners on the land on which we gather, pay my respects to elders past and present and emerging. As a Aboriginal woman in Australia, this is customary for me to acknowledge the traditional owners on the land that I gather. So thank you, and thank you, Rock and Marie, for welcoming me here. So I'm a social worker in domestic and family violence in Australia. My background is housing, domestic violence, disability, mental health. So I've worked in this space quite a lot. My current role, I work within financial hardship and financial capability. So I see a lot of the financial stress that this is bringing to families. I work in that space now. So I do see a lot of this as well. And I just want to acknowledge when I do talk that I'm coming from a women's perspective, and I do acknowledge that domestic and family violence does happen to men. But in the workspace that I have, primarily. Yeah, primarily. So I'm a bit.
I know you're nervous. I know you're nervous. It's all right.
Yeah. So I mainly work within the women's space.
Do y'all have a lot of sex trafficking in Australia?
Yes. So we have an organization called A21.org, and it's funded by my church called Hillsong, and Christine Kane is one of the...
I love Christine Kane.
Oh, you know Christine Kane?
Yes, honey. I heard her preach one time.
Yes.
She preached the socks off of T.D. Jake's women's conference.
Oh, good. Yeah. So she works a lot in this space, and there's a lot of this stuff happening, especially within our Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. They also go missing again, and it's really interesting with what you guys were saying, how they're missing and don't come back, and a lot of this stuff does happen in our communities as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
So look at this. We got it all in Australia too.
So just like, where are they trafficking them to? Are they getting them out of the country? Are they moving to other parts of the country? Because I know population-wise, Australia's not that big, and you guys don't populate a lot of the land.
Yeah.
So where do they kind of end up?
There's a lot, and there's also a lot of trafficking in as well, a lot of Asian trafficking as well, and Asian sex slave as well.
Get out of here.
Prostitution.
In Australia?
In Australia, yeah.
Oh,
so a lot of nail salons as well. There's been some trafficking in there, made to work in sex, especially in the sex industry as well.
Because Asia, Japan and all that is close to Australia, so it's not that much of a stretch, really.
Oh.
It's like maybe like an 8-hour flight, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So
that's a long way to be away from home. Sex trafficking.
Yeah.
Yeah. We also have it in other nationalities as well, in some Arab countries as well, where they are sex trafficked for visas. So brought to the visas to the country, but to pay them back, sex traffic and stuff like that.
And you never pay them back. That's the point.
Yeah.
You never pay them back.
Right.
Your debt is $2,000. You done gave them more than $2,000, and you still having sex.
And 10 years down the track, they're still finding that they're working to pay that visa debt for bringing them to the country.
Wow.
So that's another lure.
That's another different one. Yeah.
So like they're kind of like online sort of predatorial type of a thing.
Yeah.
Woman needs a visa to get out of her country, and then they make the offer.
And sometimes it's the people that you know, so it's family members
That's
as well.
what she just talked about.
Yeah,
familiar.
what you were talking about, the familiarity of it. It's sometimes
so not even a stranger. This is like your family member that brings you over.
Yeah, because they are lured into the fact that they think it's a better country. Oh, I could work 2 years to pay off the debt. But then, like Maria said, you're paying the debt forever and you're never released.
Wow. This is very deep.
Concept.
So Erica, last week she sat here. You know, her son is here. He's gonna perform on Baba T, right? Am I saying his name?
Yep.
Yeah, Baba T.
He's performing at my Mad Wednesday on Wednesday. So they were in the audience last week, and that's why I invited her, because she said, "Oh, I'm a social worker. We have all that going on too."
Yep.
So we think it's just in our backyard, but it's everywhere. But I'm telling you, New York is very serious.
And it sounds like the MO's the same, basically.
Yes.
She's got the same MO that Erica's talking about, the same
family,
thing, familiarity.
And that's why I want you to think about it. If they have the same MO, why it's the same thing? Why can't anybody just
Right.
Stop it.
Right.
It's the same thing.
That's right.
So what you have to understand is it's when it meets you at your door. Where does it meet you at your door will make a difference. So, for example, the conversation I'm having with a parent about her child, and we have talked to the child as a group talk, because she knows me, and she said, Miss Erica wants to know, we're gonna have a conversation, right? So she got permission. I got permission to speak with her child, right? So think about all the things I went through to get permission, because I said something doesn't sound right. She said she's been bugging me about spending the night at this girl's house for about a week, and I don't understand it. And I don't understand it. And she's so adamant about this, crying about it, being defiant, acting completely out.
Overspending the night.
That's a big sign. When you talk about sign, how are your children acting? What's the demeanor when they come into the room? What's the demeanor after they get off a phone or a text? What's the demeanor? You've got to really be a psychologist in your own child and the children around you. You can't just ignore it. Oh, they're sad, they'll be sad. Oh, you're bullied. Oh, you'll get bullied. The bullying looks different now.
Yes,
do you understand? They start that credit card stuff and that Cash App. That stuff is real.
I'm sorry, what credit card stuff and Cash App? I just missed
So,
that.
they were talking about credit card fraud a lot. But they put it on the young people because they don't have a record. And also they have good credit because they have no credit. So they can put things in their name. That's why the Debt Bondage Act came out. Okay, because they're saying that traffickers start a lot of times by giving you money, making you open up accounts, and then they're depositing checks, and you just think it's a check thing. I'm just gonna go. You understand? They put the kids, the minors, up to this. Your younger ones, you open up account. Have you ever heard about kids that go, I went to college and all of a sudden I found out I had debt because my mother took out a credit card in my name? You never heard that?
I have heard that, sure. Or they put the cable bill in my name, or different things like that. Yeah, I've heard that.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
There you go. But that's what, so when you understand they use the younger, the vulnerable, you think you're getting something, you're getting sneakers, you're getting a little bit of this and you're getting a little bit of that, right? And that starts to look really cute and it can escalate. It escalates. But already you got debt on you.
Early.
Your social security number, all that stuff. They have that control. So when they say cash out me for my birthday, I talked about that. People do these cash out parties for their birthday. But if somebody, to me, let's be honest, if you get $100 in your Cash App and they say you just want a gift, are you giving the money back?
No.
Hell no.
Okay, here we go. There's it right there. You're not giving it back and you probably spent it. Or didn't know you spent it, or didn't know you got it. You may have got a notification, but you didn't go to your bank account to find out where did it really come from. Who is this person?
Absolutely.
I just got an anonymous thing on my phone saying somebody wants access to one of my files on Google. I don't know this lady.
That's right.
You understand we have to really understand that this is not a time to sit back and go, oh, well, investigate. Find out where things are coming from. We're getting a lot of deliveries and you're getting a lot of delivery men. I talked about this with one of the people I work with rescues. Think about Instacart, DoorDash. You call Instacart, you get a personal shopper, hear the language, they shop for you. Well, that's another way, right? That I can have another app that sells the sexual commercial exploitation part of it, but it can go through a company like Instacart. And so I stay a little bit longer when I deliver your groceries. Do you understand how all of this, they're coming to your home. And that's why they said, when you open your door for a delivery, you need to make sure that you have somebody in there that looks like you're not by yourself and you don't show your children.
Absolutely.
Because they got your address and your telephone number.
Absolutely.
You put it in there. You put the information in there.
Absolutely.
For your convenience. Somebody else will take advantage of that. So I told a friend of mine, you have young children, do not open that door and let them see you have young children in your home.
I got something in the chat room. I just want to acknowledge the chat room. Brenda Lee said, she was answering something that you said before. She said, for sure. And she said, when Dre, which I'm assuming might be her son, was playing football, they were taking them to the fence to pee out in the open, 15 kids at a time. I was like, no, they're not doing that. So that apparently was something that had to do with the sports thing. When they were playing football, I guess they were lining the kids up at the fence, 15 kids at a time, and they were peeing out in the open.
Get out.
So that was in the chat room.
that's sometimes that's a common practice because there's no bathroom around. But my feeling on that is if a person has to go to the bathroom, make it private. Because usually when you go to the bathroom, you go in private. Plus, you never know who's looking at your kid.
That's right.
You never know who's looking at your kid. There's some things that we think are so just normal, right? We think they're normal. But when you take a deep dive into it, you'll understand that, listen, I really, really have to protect my child. Really, and everything Erica is saying, all technology, and Erica knows I'm a specialist in technology. All this technology right now and the ease of access to information,
yes,
is actually being detrimental to us because somebody is exploiting it. And we're just giving away all of our information and we're leading people to us. We're taking our GPSs on our phone and just saying, okay, go home. There was a trafficking situation. Eric, I don't know if you heard of it. The way the trafficker got to the young lady's house is she talked to the car. They turned the car's GPS on and pressed home. It took them right to the house. So all of these things that she's talking about, I mean, we don't take a deep dive. We don't think about. We don't take a long, real thought about what we're doing when we send our kids out. Not only our kids, our adults too, and our college age students too. Because they go after the college age students, male and female. Okay, but nobody really, I mean, me and Erica talks about it, there's other people talk about it, but when you send your child to college, that is prime season for traffickers. Prime season. You got a 17, 18-year-old who know nothing about that town and they're going into that town?
Mm-hmm.
What would be the primary hook for a college student?
The hook is very simple. The hook is very simple. I get there, I don't have no money to eat. I don't have no more money on my card. I don't have no money for this.
Yes.
A girlfriend, a boyfriend comes along and go, hey, you know what? I have these parties where you can go to and just show up and we'll pay you just to show up.
Right.
And what happens when you show up? Right. There's a lot of college women and men that when they go there, they strip. They just go to the club, I'm gonna strip. And you know what happens there. I called Erica this afternoon and told her that there was a show on about a young lady talking about trafficking through a strip club and how she got kidnapped and how all of these things happened to her. And her sisters were actually the ones that got her back.
Wow.
But you think it's safe to send your child away to school, you have to know what's going on. And what I tell people to do is look at the crime rate and look at the things on school. How many sexual assaults you have on school? How much this? How much that? How much this? These are some things that you have to look at. But we never take the time to look at. All we look at.
Oh, he froze.
He froze up a little bit.
That's all right. He'll come back.
Hey, Erica.
I wanted to say about the one thing that was a rescue that happened 2 weeks ago here in New York City. And like I said, the person I worked with the FBI and law enforcement. And she got the girl back. But guess what the thing was? That we're going to go make videos, TikTok videos, at Times Square on the red stairs.
Froze.
So you're kid going in below whatever 20-degree weather. I'm going to go do my TikTok videos with my friends. And you're like, oh, that's a great way to get inside. You're outside, mask, I guess. I mean, are you thinking about that TikTok? Well, what kind of videos? And who's putting you up to do these videos? These are the other questions that you need to ask, right? This is what, did you want to go down there with it to see if they're really doing these videos? Who's setting this up? You just doing this for your friends? Who's telling you to come down and do videos but broad daylight? Think about it, broad daylight. They're at the steps in Times Square. That's where they found a bunch of girls.
In the chat, you got Gilda. She said stripping was big when I was in college in the DMV area. They would pick up the girls at the dorm by the van loads. That was happening in her college town where it was happening.
And some of them they strip to pay their bills. I'm not talking about, I don't want to discourage anybody in paying their bills, but I think that there are other things you can do besides stripping. I know it pays a lot of money, but look what you are exposed to. Look what your spirit is exposed to and what you might have to do, because some of the men, you don't know what their backgrounds are. Are they violent? Right. Are they going to do, ask you to do something that's out of the ordinary and you don't want to do it? Players Club, that's my favorite movie. Players Club. Yeah. That was deep. Great movie.
I want to say this to you, Maria. Even though, it's a two-sided thing, because a lot of women are the ones who bring these young ladies in. It's not really the men, it's the women. And the women are the ones sometimes that's perpetuating that violence too. So the men are sitting back collecting the money, and they have the women go out and actually, get
them hooked into it.
But they let the women. We know that Logan and I know somebody that came out of this like as a trafficker. He let the women do the beating.
Oh.
That's how it works. So basically, one way of trickery, I'm going to give you a nice scenario, everybody, is my friend and I, we're in this situation, we're staying with this guy, he says he's giving us shelter, whatever, food. We're doing sex for money, okay? I don't come back with the right amount of money. He doesn't beat me, he beats my friend. So every time I don't come back with the money, he beats my friend. So now I am determined to make that money because I don't want something to happen because of me. It's my fault. And so what they do is when they'll say, oh, no, you beat her. She didn't bring back the money. They put them against each other. They create this
division.
Division, yes, because that keeps the money coming harder and harder and harder and more. Because nobody wants to get beat and nobody wants to have to beat. So again, I can do it one time and you're hooked. You're saying, oh, it doesn't have to be multiple times. One threat can do it. One time. Maria, somebody told me they're going to kill me, kill you if I don't give you something and they got a gun in my head. Maria, I'm giving it. Maria, I don't want nobody to kill you because of me. Let's just be clear.
Right.
This can happen to anybody put you in that situation. And you can think about that. Think about that on a 15, a 9-year-old, a 10-year-old, an 8-year-old, for God's sake. That's a lot of burden to carry. So it's not like, oh, talk to your kids and they just do the right thing and they're just great kids. They need protection. They need community care. We need to think about our community centers. What do we do in our community centers?
Nothing.
And what are resources there when they get there? Our social economic conditions and inequities create so much trafficking to happen because it's a great condition. Do you understand? If we're not giving youth programs of quality, we don't have the technology to support them, right? We don't even have heat. We got a roach problem. Think about all these things that we are not doing. And that's our vote. That's the census. All of this works together. If you create these decrepit conditions and continue to say it's okay, now you leave everybody vulnerable. And then us that are so good people, we just look away because, that's not my problem. I got other problems. I can't be worried about anybody else's kids. I got to worry about mine. Right? That's the mentality that starts to feed into us. And so, therefore, we won't see it happening. We won't know a kid is now having this association with trauma. We won't know. Because they're on their phones, they're buried, you're buried, everybody's buried in minding their own business. Well, the traffickers is minding all their businesses.
Absolutely.
And making big business. Do you understand?
I want to ask you, Erica, this is very heavy spiritually and emotionally. How do you find peace and balance with yourself? Because this is some deep stuff. I'm not even in it like that. You in it. I mean, I deal with some different, HIV and AIDS, and that's deep. But you are and it's a darkness around sex trafficking. And it's a darkness around domestic violence. And it's a darkness around many of the people that do the sex trafficking, especially on the internet, all that darkness. How do you keep light? How do you keep yourself lit?
Well, one of the things that I do is I see people come on to conversations like this that care. Maria, you have me on your show. That's a big light. That's a big light that somebody cares to talk about it. The other thing I do is I make sure I research, I study, I train. I want to know as much as I can about this in terms of how we can be effective because we have to come at it at different angles. Some people are psychologists, some people are social workers, some people are law enforcement. But I want to connect everybody. So when I feel as though there's a synergy and that we're on the same page about we are dealing with a human problem, because nothing's human about human trafficking. My quote is, human trafficking is not human. When we realize that we can't rationalize things and say, oh, well, a boy's trafficking. Oh, well, they can do that. Oh, this is boys, that's what they do. That's our problem. That's what they do. So because you caught them in the sex when you let them go and you don't follow human trafficking, you don't even think about putting them and giving them services, just go home, y'all. Just go home. They've said that. Reports have been made where they've done raids, boys have been trafficked, and they have not thought about any services and let them go because of the gender. Again, we have a problem with how we look at gender-based violence, how we look at genders. That is the problem, because we may look for the man, we should be looking for the woman. You're looking for the man, and you should be looking for the child. Children, Lord, children all the time in this. So it's a peer-to-peer thing as well. So my piece is knowing that people, one, are talking about it. Number two, my piece is when I'm seeing that when I'm talking to a parent, they're getting it. They're realizing why I asked that question. Or let me go back. I think Katazia is on the call. I'm not sure if she's here. You talked about somebody formerly from ACS. I'm not sure if she's on the call right now. If she is, she should speak up. But we were talking about the fact that being in certain environments where things intersect, like you get into trouble with something, an ACS case starts breaking out. Now you're in the system, and the system can re-traumatize you once again. They talk about the PATH system. We talk about domestic violence. PATH is this place that you go in the Bronx with your kid, and you bring your kid, and you sit there for hours until you're placed.
Yep.
And you can't eat anything. They give you little sandwiches. They told me to give you little sandwiches. You can't use your phone. You sit there all day and you wait. Is that humane?
Nope.
Nothing
human about it. Nope.
In one room, and then if you're not getting placed that night, you're now smuggled, to a van, which takes you to a hotel in the back of a hotel, and you go in these beds in these rooms, and then in the morning they wake up at 6 o'clock, let's go, and you now got to go back on the van, not to be seen, and then go back to the path to sit and wait. That's not human.
Wow, that's deep.
Yeah.
Nobody
and
talks about that.
You that's not human.
But
that's
nobody talks about that. Nobody
so guess
talks
what,
about
Maria?
that.
Somebody's going to put themselves in a situation just for what? Housing. Just for safety. They're going to put themselves in a degrading situation, knowing it's degrading. They just prepare for it. They ready for it. They bring 3 kids and bring them in, and you got to have the documentation, and you sit there and you can't talk and you can't move. And then even when you get placed, you're in a roommate situation and they can do raids in your room anytime you want. This is DV shelters. Wow. That they can come to your room anytime they want and do a check in your room, go through your things, and then they leave a note on your bed to say we were here. Good, you're in compliance. That's inhumane.
That's right.
See, what's not going? If somebody says come and get a house and you give me warm food and I got to go through all that, I might. What's the lesser of 2 evils?
Right.
That's
you might go for it. You might go for it.
And you think you can outsmart the system. Some women think they can outsmart the system.
Cannot.
They think they can do this and do that, and it doesn't matter. Like someone put in the chat about going to the All-Star Weekend. Women go there looking for men with money, and you're already looking for men with what? Money. So you're already there with an intention, but you didn't really know the intention after you really got there, what that could turn into. And you don't think it's going to happen to you. And I get that you don't think it, but it happened to me. I had a guy come in my life and totally try to destroy it. Trust me. Domestic violence all through and through. And I think I was potentially going to be trafficked to do something. Now, I don't know what kind, but I'm telling you it was coming.
Yep.
But I was so scared. See, when you get to the point where you're so scared that you don't care, when you get so scared that you don't care, like I'm talking about scared that you don't care, like if I live, I'm going to die anyway, so I better say something while I die. When you get the feeling that you're going to die anyway, and you start speaking up, that's when you get the support. And I went in there with an army. When I went in there to the police station, I called every elected official that knew me, and guess what? I had an elected official coming right in after I went into the police department to make the report. That's how, but then they turned it into something crazy, Maria. They tell me on Sunday, I make the report on Friday. They come on Sunday to my house and knock and say they're doing a wellness check. First of all, okay, you do wellness checks. I'm well. they told me to get in the police car. They want to talk to me on a Sunday afternoon by myself. And you took me to the second floor of the 28th precinct by myself. And you were interrogating me about this to see if what I said on Friday was going to be the same on Sunday. I didn't say anything about that till I told the new DA that whole story. When I told Alvin Bragg, and you asking me what I think about DAs and this system. Wow. So what I'm saying is that's traumatizing. I didn't feel I was being supported. Yeah, he got locked up, but they were like, well, we don't lock him up. I said, well, don't say I locked him up because I wasn't ready to be, I just wanted to get away from you. Like, don't say I locked him up. Right. Then he got locked up, and then I had to go to the DA's office. I'm the victim. I got to go into this scary office downtown. They make it your decision, you can 9 months, you can keep signing the paper to make sure that he's checking in. I mean, this was crazy. But this is the thing about that, Maria, because I didn't talk about that situation, I want to tell everybody this. I didn't talk about that to a lot of people that happened to me, okay? That I was in a real dire situation in my own apartment, okay?
Janine asked how old were you when this was happening to you?
I'm in my 20s, 30s. I was like 30. Yeah, 30. Yeah, I got all this time I got other things happening to me, but this is 30.
Wow.
This is 30 years old. So what happened was recently, Maria, I get a phone call from a friend who's recently divorced. And she says to me, I'm coming to Harlem for a date, and I just want you to know where I am. Okay? Online dating, she's trying to do the same thing.
I'd forget the online stuff.
Okay? Listen, she gave me the address. That was the address of my abuser. And what did I say? I said, I have to let you know something right now. And she said, oh, well, yeah, because I already had the date. And it was weird and strange. And he wanted me to come back to his home. And she said, but something about it, it got really weird. I had to let her know. This is when we got to start telling our girlfriends what's going on.
Right.
And I'm not be ashamed. I didn't want to talk about that kind of abuse. I didn't want to talk about that situation. I thought it was going to go away. But, it lets you know, Spirit lets you know, you can save somebody else by telling your story, especially when it comes to into your existence. That came to me as this is not going away. And the way that these people do things, no matter what age you are, they can get that head. Trust me when I tell you. You think they can't? Why do you think there's a lot of abuse on the workforce, sexual assault, sexual harassment? Why do you think that exists? And these are people that are not minors. The game is real, but sometimes you don't recognize the game because you're thinking something totally different until your instincts kick in, and then thank God you can find a place. And the people I did tell did not judge me.
How did your girlfriend receive it when you told her?
She was like, oh my God, thank you. 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 She just kept on saying that. She said, I'm losing that number. Oh my God, thank you. Can you imagine her telling me come meet her where her friend is, and I'm looking at that guy that I put in jail? Can you imagine that?
That's crazy.
I can't imagine that.
That's crazy.
But see, that's why I said things come back around, and you start to say, well, talking about it and having a conversation is important. And when it comes to you, to have information, I can't say, they say 1 in 5 abusers change. Right? I don't know where he's at now. I don't know what his life is like now. I'm not going to, but guess what? Right now, I'm not okay with that address coming to me and me knowing what I know. But I do know friends that have situations where they have not spoken up. And the question is, why are we not speaking up? The shame, the fear, the guilt. Like you said, how old were you? See, that can be triggering for me. How old were you when that happened? As if that can't happen to you? Oh, yes, it can. Somebody can send you some tickets to go to dinner. And you're like, oh my God, I got tickets. He's so nice. I'm going to dinner. You go to a concert. He's doing all the great things that everybody you think should do because he studied you, knows what you like, and it can turn into a nightmare very quickly. Now all of a sudden he's putting things in your name. You're getting cars. You're traveling. You're taking things. Oh, and you don't even know what's in your bag. You don't know if when you travel, he puts something in your bag. You don't know what you're doing because you are a good profile. My father said, the single educated Black woman is the one that's the most vulnerable in America. That's what he said.
Don't. You know,
You're
people.
the most vulnerable. You're mostly educated. You're making your money. You're getting a bag.
Yes.
You're doing all this.
Yeah.
And now, what do you think? Somebody come in your life and totally take that away and shatter it. And then you're embarrassed because it was my age. So what I say is, when you talk about coercion, fraud, intimidation, think about that for an adult as well, and now go down to the child. It can happen to anybody. People get called fraud all the time.
Yeah, I think it's also important that we make awareness that it can happen to anybody, any nationality, and any age, and male and female. That get that awareness out there, like the age factor. Like it can happen to someone 60, it can happen to someone 16.
Right.
And it doesn't discriminate. It's religious, it's emotional, it's physical, it's financial. It doesn't discriminate.
And you know, the biggest problem is our social media, because everything is around money, around sex. You know, WAP. You know, these are the songs. Everything's about sex, women, and even, you know, I keep saying, when I saw that video of what's her name, Tiana Taylor, and that girl, what's her name, Normandy, climbing up her.
Oh, right.
I was like, what kind of crap is that? This woman is married with children. Why is another woman climbing up her, acting like she's having sexual acts with her? I was like, what in the...
Maria, that's what they talked about in terms of the process for I don't like the word grooming, so I'm saying seasoning, or getting you ready for sex trafficking. They use pornography and pornographic images. And so it's pervasive, just to desensitize you, get you ready for what it could be like. They really get you ready for the experience. So I feel like a lot of things that are happening in our world in terms of what we're seeing on television, why it's like looking more really, really sexual, it's conditioning us to say it's okay.
Right, desensitizing.
And it's normal. Yeah, desensitizing us to it. They did that with gun violence so great, didn't they?
They sure did.
What was that movie that it opens up with a shooting as soon as you could get on? With Lorenz Tate? What was that movie?
What, Boys in the Hood? What, Boys in the Hood?
No,
Lorenz Tate. They walk into a deli, and all of a sudden the shooting begins. Bam. It was one of the most famous movies that we put out there. It was great. It was like a great movie. Everybody loved the movie.
Dead President?
Then you had...
not Dead President.
That wasn't in no Dead.
He was.
He was in Dead President?
Yeah, I think he was. If I got the right.
That was that movie, but then also
Menace to Society.
There you go.
Menace to Society.
Menace to Society.
There you go.
Yes,
And then also Hustle and Flow. Remember they won a Grammy for that.
Yeah, Hustle and Flow. He had all the women working for him.
Right. So here we go. We've seen these movies. I think
I told somebody the Mac, Max Julian just passed away, and the Mac was a big movie in the 70s and still is today. And it's basically prostitution, sex trafficking, all that in one.
So we have to ask the community why, if we know these things, why does it continue? Why is it happening in our community? And then you have to think about that. Why is it happening in our community? Why are people of color are the highest people trafficked domestically in this United States?
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
So what are we saying here? What are we doing about it?
And we can't, and one thing that we have to teach our kids is it's not about what you have and what you don't have. Yeah. It's about integrity. It's about character. And with that, you'll travel more with that than what you have and, you know, what you possess and what you own. The sneakers that you own. I'll never forget one time, it was a couple of years ago, and I saw this line outside of Foot Locker. No, it wasn't Foot Locker. Nike store on 125th. And I was like, I thought the people was online getting a job. And they was like, no, they online for the new. I said, for a new sneaker?
Yeah.
You got a line around the corner and half these people don't even have the money, and the kids is getting the sneakers, they mamas is buying it, and they mamas can't afford it. I just think it's it's crazy. And why do these athletes make sneakers that are ridiculously priced that they know these young kids are gonna want? It ain't the young kids that's gonna buy it, it's the mamas that's gonna buy it.
And it only costs them 25 cents to make.
25 cents. You're making them overseas, and then you charging these kids,
which is kind of part of the trafficking and child abuse, really thing.
That's
you know
right.
what I'm saying? In the work, in these basic work camps that they have in China, and in the United States is the biggest consumer of all the Chinese goods, right? And now peep what I was thinking the other day. Now, this is the technique. We go to war, right, for human rights, right? That's we run into Africa, we run into Arab countries, and human rights, and we're in Iraq, human rights. But we contribute to human abuse every time we buy an iPhone.
Absolutely.
Any electronics, any of your clothes, any of your jeans, any of your sneakers. And what happened, it was a big thing this week because somebody, one of the people that were in one of these work camps, put a note in a box that was being shipped. And when it got to the United States, someone opened it up and the person wrote, "Listen, we're being held against our will to make these goods. We need help. This is an SOS."
Get out.
Yeah. Yep. So, a lot of things that happen, as a nation, really, we are the biggest purveyors of human violators of human rights.
So when you look at that and you talk about violation of human rights, a lot of people will say America is the first one to tell you that solitary confinement is inhumane, right? And we have laws against other countries that hold people in solitary confinement. But in America, we are the biggest people who hold people in solitary confinement. So when you talk about now you're going back to the history of America, human rights abuse and what America does. As long as we're going to be a country that thrives off of economics, right? Because human trafficking is money. How much did you say, Erica? How many billion?
150 billion annually.
Right, so 150 billion, and we're talking about an economic system that thrives off of economics. And you talk about the parents who buy their kids all these expensive sneakers, and I'd say don't have a computer in the house, or don't have internet, or don't have heat, or don't have X, Y, Z. It's all conditioning, right? So we've been conditioned to do it. And when we look at trying to break that condition, same thing with, the Carly B's and the Megan Thee Stallions and what these young girls see that are their role models. Why aren't they seeing, now this is a good one. And Erica, you know what I'm talking about. There was a show that was about to come on about sororities, right? It was called Sorority Girls. And they wanted to make sorority girls, they wanted to make it ratchet. They wanted to make it just like all the sororities, the doctors, the lawyers, the educated women
said not this one.
Protested against that.
Yes,
not
they
this
did.
one. You're not going to have it. You're not going to do it. Right? So how come, right? How come we can't do the same thing now? Why aren't we putting doctors and lawyers and nurses and engineers in front of these young women?
That's right? You're right.
Well, but see, this is why, right? Again, our community is doing it to each other.
Thank you.
Do you understand? So until we understand, like what Gilda talked about, is the map, that mentality, right? Break that mentality that this, just because it was going on doesn't mean it was right.
Absolutely.
I mean, bottom line is it wasn't right. And you did it to survive. Now I'm going to say, if I give you something else to survive, will you take that or you will take that?
Right.
Ask somebody. I've asked people who've done stripping. I asked them if they were given a job, would they have stripped? And a good paying job, not no little bit of job, not the little chunk change they give you when you do work study. I'm talking about what you can pay for, your meals, trips, things that you want to do, college activities. They said, yeah, I'd take that job. I wouldn't strip. Because guess what? The money there looks better than what the college is giving. So then when we talk about endowments, and when you stick with your college and you try to support your college, that stuff is so important because maybe the work study can go up. Maybe we can look at the minimum wage for work study and say, wait, now if these girls are stripping and we know that this is happening because they set up colleges and hotels, and strip clubs within the proximity of each other. That's the environmental plan. That's the city plan. Okay? They do this purposely, right? So why are we not thinking about, if it's about the money, What are we offering?
Erica,
what are we offering?
You know why that's so important, Erica? Because a lot of us here on this panel right here, went to college, and a lot of us came out of college a little bit better. And a lot of us, and I'm going to say that, don't reach back down in the community. And I'm going to say that because I'm in the community every day. Some of us don't go back into the inner cities and pull those diamonds out of the inner city and help those kids. A lot of us don't. So I'm not saying a lot of us on this call don't, but a lot of us don't.
Yes.
You know, we don't pump that money back into colleges. I donate back to my college all the time because I want somebody else that was in my position. You know, my family grew up on welfare. My mom, it was 7 of us, and we all went to college. So we have a hard time giving back or going back to where we got out of. We all of a sudden become scared of where we came from. You know, we all of a sudden don't want to be associated. You can't never leave that. That's where you're from. So there's a lot of times where, you know, we look at where we are. We may be better off than what we came up, but we got to reach back down. We got to reach back down and pull those kids up too, because somebody pulled us up.
So to talk about that, Maria, I'm going to the grocery store, right? And I'm struggling with like 5 grocery store packages. Dude is on the sidewalk with his moped. He looked like he's going to knock into me. Of course, I'm like, yo, right? He's like, oh, he pulls back up. I got some oil for you. I said, man, I can't. You see me struggling? He's like, oh, you act like I'm a stick-up kid. First of all, you're about to knock me over and run me over. This is where we're talking about why I understand why people do get frustrated with coming back to their community to do anything. Because guess what? We got to have the conversation. If you don't want to have the conversation with people, it's going to be difficult. Maria has conversations with people on the street. I explained to that man that I was struggling. He said, oh, okay, I see you. I see. You know, I didn't need him to help me, but I just need him to give me some space so I can take some rest in between me taking my groceries that were very heavy. I mean, I don't have a problem having the conversation to let people know what my needs are and if I can help you with your needs. But that can be frustrating to somebody to get in arguments on the street, to feel like you're talking to people that are not listening. The thing about it is, what are they listening for is what you need to think about.
Right.
What do they need to hear? And that's the same thing the trafficker does. What do they need to hear to get them to listen? But I need you to think about those skills in a different way, using those skills in terms of, am I really understanding what their need is? Do you understand what the need is? And when you don't understand what the need is, that's a time to be silent and wait. Because I really think that sometimes we think we're going back to help and we are giving the wrong thing. They don't want book bags. How about that? Yeah, I said it. Maybe they don't want book bags this year.
Yep.
Maybe you take an assessment and figure out maybe it's an iPad. Maybe it's a card, right? Maybe it's a phone card. Maybe it's more minutes on their phone. I don't know, but we can't keep giving the same thing. Say, well, at least I gave you something. What?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe they want to pick out their own coat. Like Marie said, FCBC stepped up. They giving brand new coats, coats that people want. So have you really looked at our community and said, what do they want? If it's a want and there's a need, you're like, well, you needed a coat, so you just get any coat you want. Well, that attitude right there, I don't want to take your coat, honey. Then keep your coat. Do you understand? So we have to really think about when we're giving, helping, all these things. Well, are we really helping? Did you ask them what they needed? I don't even eat that. Absolutely. You know, I had somebody go, I don't eat that. You know, you think you're trying to feed somebody. And they're like, I don't eat that. I want to diet. I'm vegan. Yeah, homeless people are vegan now. Homeless people are vegan now. And you know, Maria, how they did it at the mural.
Say he was vegan.
Listen, we were at the mural. We had extra food from the different restaurants. We tried to get the food out on the street. He was like, I don't eat this. It's vegan. He threw it in the air. Listen. Okay, maybe he didn't know how to respond to that. But there was something to say about just giving people something as if that's it. Like, you just be happy you got that. Our attitude in giving needs to definitely change. Yes. How we give to people needs to change. And also, I'm going to say this, Maria, that really, I want to say this. When you're doing this work with any kind of people going through any trauma, especially when you're close to it and you get the resources and you help them, you get the right resources, you connect everybody, because I'm a connector. Sometimes they don't want to talk to me ever again, Maria. They don't want even me to know. They don't want me to know that they exist anymore. And you know why? Because I remind them of that place that they were. And I am conscious of that, and I'm mindful of that. Because once they get out, or they get close to, or they get beyond, they don't want to go back. And sometimes them going back is a reminder. So understand, Logan, I gotta say this. Sometimes maybe going back is a reminder of where you came from. And until we heal that trauma and that relationship,
100% right.
where we came from and where we're going, it will be very difficult to go back and help.
You are 100% right.
You understand? So I want people to understand, I don't indict anybody for how you feel about a situation, because we all have gone through some things that we do not want to revisit. But think about what it is that you don't want to revisit. It may be different. It might not be, roaches in your house, poverty, it might not be abusive parent, it might just be
something
thing you don't want to revisit.
That's something you did that you're not proud of.
You're not proud of
Maria, that's it right Erica, there. When we talk about that all the time, you know my story. And I do not want to revisit that conversation about prison and stuff like that. And when we met, even that's where me and you met. We that conversation of the people I'm helping and stuff like that. But you're 100% right. And I always tell you when you're 100% right. When that's one thing that when it comes up, I'm like, yeah, well, maybe I don't want to be bothered with that.
Well, let me give some context though. When I met Logan, and Maria, this is what I'm telling you about adults, okay? If I could just paint a picture for you right now, I am doing a training on leadership and engagement for youth, how to engage youth. This is Logan in the corner, hat on his head. Wait, phone. He was watching a whole full-blown movie. He was like this. and nobody wanted to sit next to him. All the other adults were like, I ain't gonna sit next to him. He's sitting there. And I think I said something. I did, first of all, I acknowledged him. I acknowledged him in all that. Because he didn't want to be here. Professional development. What educator wants to go to professional development? Who are you? Who do you think you got? And I said something like, well, how you doing? How's the movie? What you watching? I'm engaging him where he's at. He ain't think about what my workshop was and that activity I had to do. He watching the movie. I want to know what you're watching. Well, let me sit down and watch the movie with you. Because this might be something. And guess what? That moment changed everything. And then he said, you started to make sense. He said, you make sense. You make sense. But it was funny because most people would have just said, you can't just take training. How was it? And you just say, some people only like to come to training. They usually call out sick. He didn't call out sick. He had the nerve to be like, I'm here and I don't want to be here. And you need to make sure why should I be here?
Right.
And that is the attitude for sometimes our youth. You have to sometimes build the bridge. Amen. You got to set the path. They may not want to talk to you, but if you don't build a stable bridge where you can say, whenever you want to cross the bridge, I'm here. And they choose you. Tashana knows this. Katazia is on the phone, so she is here. They choose you. So for example, I met Katazia. She has 3 kids. I met those kids. I did not put myself on those kids. Those kids ask about me all the time, and I didn't do anything magical to that kid. I didn't get a toy. I didn't try to give you ice cream. I didn't take you to the store. I didn't tell you how pretty you looked. I did none of those things because to me, those are things that I feel is very similar to what someone who's luring you into anything can do.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I basically did something to them, and Katazia can speak to that, and she can speak to the ACS as we talked about how those other agencies intersect and entwine in this type of lifestyle. So Katazia, definitely please speak if you're here. I know you're here. She's here. Where did she go?
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
As always, this has been a good and powerful conversation, but I must speak to what Erica just said and how much my children love her, and it's just off of instinct. and her personality. They can spot her in a crowd. We were actually watching the Tamron Hall show on my phone, and then you know how they go past the audience real quick?
Yeah.
And I was like, that was Miss Erica. I was like, that's Miss Erica, what do you mean? I had to bring it back about 3 or 4 times. I was like, oh, that is Miss Erica. But I speak about instinct because a lot of times, for whatever reason it is, we don't follow our instincts. We don't follow our gut feeling. And my oldest daughter, she's 18. And people always say, like, oh, what would you do if your daughter don't want to go to college and all this other stuff? I said, she had to be about between 8 and 11 years old. I said, my job is done with her. God forbid I leave this earth. I know that she has the skills. I've taught her the skills that she needs to navigate in life. Of course, not everything, but following her instincts. One time I said, it was early in the morning, rush hour. It was almost our stop for her to go to school. She was in elementary school, maybe about 7 or 8 years old. And I just said to her, go ahead, get off the train. And she hesitated, but I got off right behind her. I said, why did you get off the train? Because you told me to. I said, but you hesitated. Obviously, it didn't feel right. So don't do things that don't feel right. Even if it's coming from me as your mom, how terrible is it to say, like, Mom, I don't think I can go. I don't think I want to go to school by myself. But I don't think, like, it doesn't feel right. So that for me was like one of the most powerful parenting lessons. And even when it came down to choosing her major, it was like between 2 things that it was just like, girl, I can't tell you what to do. You have to quiet your mind and follow your instincts. Sometimes she had basketball practice. Mom, I just don't feel like going. Well, why don't you feel like going? Is it the weather? Is it too cold? What's going on? Like, I don't know. I just have this feeling like something's telling me to stay home today. Well, girl, you know what you need to do? You need to stay home today.
Yeah.
And just use those skills and the tools that they really don't teach us in school. And a lot of times parents are so busy finding the tools to parent that it's hard to be a parent. You know, I lived in New York City, so I used our commute time to parent a lot. Those conversations, lessons that I knew I couldn't do that once I got home. Worrying about what bills were in the mailbox. What are we going to eat? Is the supermarket still open? Because we know working 9 to 5 and our children are in school from 8 to 2. It don't work. It doesn't help. And it does take a village to raise a child. But unfortunately, sometimes either we don't have a village, we don't have a strong village, or the people in our village are so toxic, we'd rather be village-less.
No goodness.
So I was fortunate to have that train time, that commute time with my children to teach certain lessons. And of course, Erica speaks about the trafficking, the boundaries all the time. And these are just conversations that we have to make space. We have to create the space to have these types of conversations. Right now, what's killing me is this YouTube.
Yeah.
And TikTok. I'm just like,
yeah.
Oh, where you learn this from? It was on TikTok. How you doing TikTok on your phone? I'm just like, I consider myself a good parent, but Lord, sometimes technology do get the best of us. So it's time to shut down. Time to shut down my phone. My daughter's 18. Girl, you better not change the password on that phone. Absolutely. And you're gonna pass it to me whenever I tell you to pass it to me without hesitation. And fortunately, we've had the tough conversations and we're able to communicate where it doesn't really need to be that way. It doesn't need to be that hardcore, like, hey, pass your phone. We speak about her coaches. How do you feel about this coach? How did the coach react when you lost the game? How did the coach react when you said you cannot come to practice because you were sick, you have flu-like symptoms? Because those are things that you need to look out for. Someone who genuinely cares about you, even though you have a job to be done,
right?
Wouldn't chastise you, wouldn't punish you for simply being human because you don't feel well and you couldn't make it to practice. Like that's natural. So I also teach her about, in all my children, I teach them about the way people should treat them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I met this guy recently and I'm like, he must be a trafficker. He have to be. Sir, you don't know me from nowhere. You don't know if I'm a trafficker.
Absolutely.
Why are you all up in my face like that? And after I said, you have to submit a picture of your driver's license, your license plate, And I said something else. After that, homeboy didn't want to go out no more. And that's okay.
Because again, putting somebody near your children, you have to really vet who you put near your
She
children.
muted herself by accident.
Oh.
She's talking and she's.
Oh, okay. No, I was like, that's okay. Like, he didn't want to go out after that, and that was absolutely fine by me. Because what you got to hide?
So I want to tell you, as an ACS, you work for ACS, right?
I did, yes.
Oh, you did. My daughter, I'm trying to get her to stop working for ACS. Anyway, that's a whole nother story. It is amazing that things that so I have a granddaughter. She has a daughter that's 5, and she's been working with ACS since Peyton was maybe 1. And it's just amazing, all the rules and regulations that ACS has, that the protocol y'all have to have as far as removing children from homes and all that. But the same protections that they have, they don't allow to my grandbaby. So my grandbaby was sick with some strange virus that was very highly contagious. They wouldn't give her off. I couldn't understand. I said, wait a minute. You have a child. Now, the very thing that's happening right now, you would remove a child if a parent decided to work and the child was sick. So I don't understand ACS. I think ACS is full of crap. I'm sorry if I gotta say that. And that they need to change. They need to change a lot of the rules and regulations that they have, and they need to care about their workers more, because they don't care about their workers. And you send people out there that's tired, stressed. My daughter got to go and remove people from their homes. They don't have no police officers with them. I'm like, what kind of mess is this?
It's also about setting boundaries, because I always say, what's the worst that's going to happen? They going to fire me?
I keep telling my daughter that.
Right, and she also has a union to back her up. But it's really about having firm boundaries regardless. Whenever I went to do removal, I wasn't comfortable doing without police presence. I sat and I waited 2-3 hours for police presence. That's what I had to do. If I'm going to take the day off, I'm going to take the day off. I requested it. It was denied, but I can't be there.
Right.
I can't be there. And so, the system, a lot of those years ago, we know that a lot of those jobs went to a lot of white folks. And when the population started changing and more Black folks got into occupations such as, ACS, CPS workers, and correction officers, the protections changed. The benefits not too much, but just the way things happen change. So we have these systems that are not here for us. They're not here to protect us. Why they exist, I'm not sure, but they do exist, and we have to find a way to navigate around that and to not feel powerless towards the system.
Right. That's good advice. I'm gonna say that to my daughter.
I'm a big advocate of economic and financial empowerment, because had I not been very frugal or a big saver, I couldn't walk out of ACS the way I did. I left because I was like, nope, y'all not gonna have me on the cover of the newspaper. Because the way my superiors, they knew the ins and outs, because they worked for ACS over 10 years. So they knew how to do things. Our system that we documented our notes in, you have up until 14 days to make edits to that system.
Yes.
What they would do to me is they would go and they put in assessment approved. So I will see that at a day or two after submitting my assessment. And then on the 14th day, they will stay at midnight doing work. On the 14th day, or the 15th day, they will come and say, well, why wasn't this done? I'm like, huh? I'm like, I know I didn't see this in here before.
Right.
And I worked with one of my colleagues, a very sweet lady, barely cussed, unlike me. My grandma still cussed like a sailor, so that's where I get it from. And, in the spirit of not taking accountability, I blame it on her. She was just cussing up a storm. I said, girl, what's wrong? She was like, they always do this. They always wait until the last minute to put in all these directives and then ask you why I wasn't done. I said, oh,
that's what my daughter said. That's what she says all the time.
So what I started doing was I started printing the notes, because when you print it, it prints with a date and time stamp. So when they came to me and said, well, why didn't you do this? I just gave them the papers. Well, that's why.
Very great advice.
So it's like, you always just have to walk in your power and be firm with your boundaries in every situation, people are always going to try to take advantage of us. And sometimes it's very hard. It's not the easiest thing to do. And to always feel like you're pushing back against everything in all these systems, educational system, medical systems, financial systems that discriminate against us. We can't get credit the way some of our counterparts get credit.
Absolutely.
But so I do understand the system, and I had to, in terms of my personal experience, everyone advised me to go to the system because I had worked for ACS, and I saw how many times that it did not protect people and how it can all the way go left. I was able to leave a situation on my own without reaching out to police department or ACS, because I just knew how much that could backfire on me. And had I not worked in the system, maybe it would have worked out well. I don't know. But because I worked in the system, I knew that there were things that I needed to do for myself before I even thought about getting them involved. And, you know, these are the things, these systems exist, and a lot of us, unfortunately, feel like they're here to protect us. They're here to help. Of course, they wouldn't harm us or make things more difficult, but sometimes it does. Many times it does. But like Erica said, firm boundaries, follow your gut instincts, and we have to continue these conversations with everyone. I don't think there's anyone I've met in the past maybe 3, 4, 5 years that I have not spoken to about trafficking.
That's very serious, and we do have to talk about it because it's such a big business, and it's many, and it looks more black and brown, and that's the unfortunate thing. And the evils that swarm us are our social medias and all these other driving factors that continue to give us the messaging about how important it is to have money versus how important it is to have character, how it's important to, you know, have integrity, and who you are and your heart matters more than anything else. And those are the kind of conversations we have to have. We have to go against the normal, because we're really the abnormal. We're not even really the normal no more. Us being plain and simple and having loving things to say to each other and caring about each other, that's abnormal to people, because people are evil and conniving and everybody wants to get over, and it's just and COVID is so, you know, COVID has really shown us all of these ills that are surrounding us. You know, if it wasn't for COVID, we wouldn't be Zooming as much as we Zoom and having these conversations if it wasn't for COVID.
I think another point is from Australia, financial abuse is really big, especially COVID. During COVID, it happened a lot more, I think like 10 times more. But we need to teach our young children about financial abuse, and we need to teach our young children from a very young age about money. I don't know the system here, but in Australia, we're not really taught about money and saving and doing all of that. So I have now left the domestic violence space and moved into that financial space where, because I'm Aboriginal, our Aboriginal women are 8 to 10 times likely to be domestic and family abused and sexually assaulted. And a lot of it does come back to, you know, financials and money. So my new work is working in that space, teaching young women about financial abuse and money and how not to get into debt when they leave school. And I think that's really important to start this conversation young, so those young girls don't end up in a trafficking situation because they're lured by the money. If we teach our young children from a young age how to save, even if it's $1 or $2, it's the habit of saving. And we teach them about not getting into debt, not getting those credit cards. We have a product at home called Buy Now, Pay Later, where you buy it now and you pay it later from your thing.
That's a disaster.
Yeah, and we're getting a lot of our young youth already into debts by the time they're 18 and 19 because they're so accessible. So we need to teach and open these conversations openly about financials so that these women and men don't get lured into this trafficking by the money when they're like going to college, that they're already financially stable and have a good education around money. because it's very
I want to
important.
speak to that though, because that was a great point. Because what happened to me when I got to college, no one talked about credit cards to me, and my father's a financial planner. I saw a credit card, I got it, and guess who I bought the gifts for?
Your partner.
My mother, when she looked at the bill, she said, "This is not this. It doesn't say Victoria's Secret. It didn't say." That's abuse. That's financial abuse. I did it because I thought I was helping, because he had a great story about how he had money and he needed this and he'll pay me back. And then we were in an intimate relationship. So I'm thinking it's okay. Next thing you know, I got this big bill. My parents were like, oh my God. But I was devastated, because I was just like, oh, okay, well, I mean, and so naive to think somebody would do that to you. You say you're going to pay me back, you're going to pay me back. You never paid me back. And then I also learned from that, Maria, that money is power. And I had to make sure I didn't wield it a different way. Because I had this credit card, I couldn't now think that my money was going to buy my love.
Absolutely.
So again, women with the bag, right? You don't want to turn into that person as well. Because someone's only being with you because, and now you can be withholding, you can be abusive, you can be intimidating, you can do trick, all of that. You hear that in rap music. Oh, they flipped it. I flipped the game on him. It's still a game and you're playing it. And now you are not the victim, you are the perpetrator.
Absolutely.
The tables can turn because you think this money is giving you power. You know, and so we have to, I'm telling you, our relationship with money is very important.
Very
understanding,
important.
well, you know, when they start to say, pay yourself back, right? Because if you're just paying bills, what is the thing that you want to use your pleasure on? Right? We say we get our nails done, our hair done, but that's like kind of like grooming 101. Like, you know, it's like, what's the special thing? What's the real thing that you really want to take? The money's a tool for what? A tool for something. Because really, the hairdressers repeat business. That's money down the drain. You get it done 2 weeks, and next 2 weeks you'll go back in there. But what's really for you?
Absolutely.
And I think about that we don't really have those conversations about money. So when money comes as a dangling carrot, when you don't have it, it's definitely attractive. It's like when they say, make the money make sense.
Right.
They make it sense all the time.
And then in the Players Club, what she say? Don't let the money make you, but you make the money. Can't dictate money. You can't let money dictate who you are. You know, whether you have a lot or you don't. All these Birkin bags and all this Gucci and all this Louis Vuitton. And those people are making money, and you're not one of them are coming back in our community doing anything, giving scholarships, doing anything. But we continue to wear these designers. Status symbols. Listen, I'm gonna wear Maria Davis on my chest. That's right now. I got my friend. He's an African American. He has a store up on Amsterdam Avenue called The Bakery. I represent him. He's a brother. He makes some great designs, and it's called The Bakery because he used to cook up. People used to say, "Cook me up some clothing." So that's why he named it The Bakery. You know, when I first went there, I thought I was gonna get a piece of cheesecake or something, but I was fooled. I got in there. I was like, "Where's
and that's why I make my own clothes too."
Yeah.
Maria, I don't need anybody else.
Gotta stop. That's right.
You know, I don't need anything else. You know, it's a conversation. I feel good in it, and it's comfortable. Now move on. Like really, because again, we have to stop. It's really a mindset shift. We have to shift our mindset. When you talk about what's really important to you or what your real needs are, if all things that you come up is I just need money, we're not digging deep enough. That's so surface.
Yeah.
That's all I need is money.
Right.
Yeah.
If that's the only answer to your problem,
then you got a problem.
Then you got a problem, and somebody can help you to it real quick.
Yeah. So tell us about Gotta Stop. Tell us about the movement, how we can support Gotta Stop.
So really, supporting Gotta Stop is really a lifestyle change. It's about spreading awareness. It's about raising awareness, finding places to connect. So if you're on this call right now and you have a resource for me, because again, you can look at all the different issues and I'm looking at how I'm really attacking them. I like to have an arsenal of people ready to go when I call you. It's social impact, which is now. I'm not doing 2 weeks, I'm gonna do it 3 weeks later. So if you're somebody that gotta get in a meeting and I gotta wait, and you're not like Maria Davis, we can't use you. But if I can get on the phone and say, look, I got a situation, Maria, person is da-da-da, and you got me a resource, that's how I work. Because that's how the people need it. They need it now, or they'll have another alternative come to them. And I want to be an answer to connect and make sure people are getting to the right services. So if you have a service that you provide, if there's something that you do that you think could help support communities, because I go on the street with my messages. People wear my clothes around the country, right, that say things on them. And so they're saying things to get a conversation sparked. Once that conversation starts, that's when the work begins. When you open your mouth, now you are processing, you're internalizing. That's another conversation you're having with yourself. But when you speak on it, this guy asked me the other day when I was wearing my blue, yo, you a mascot or something? I like that, right? He liked it. The fact that he liked it, the blue that he liked, and then when you get a closer look, this lady said, "Sister, I like that. Yeah, that's right. That stuff is no joke." That's what we're talking about. People do want to even have a voice to it. But we don't think our community cares. That's a false misconception.
It's true. It's true.
They don't know how to respond. They don't know how to act. They don't know what to do. And it's dangerous, and you got to respect the gangster part of it. It's a dangerous business when you get in the way of somebody making any money. People say, don't mess with my money. People say that, regular people say that. Don't mess with my money. I want that check on Friday. Don't mess with my money. So don't mess with my money is real. So people get afraid to talk about these things or to bring it up, but there are ways. Being a caring community is a way.
And I think that's the message. That's the message we need to get out there, is that it's not shameful to go through anything like this, and that there is help out there. So I really love what Erica is doing and what you're doing, Maria. And I'm doing something similar at home within the financial capability. Is that why do you need to go do the payday loan? Is it because you're borrowing $150?
Or rent a center, and you paying all that interest when you could have saved the money up and paid, and the interest that you paying could be TV by itself.
Yeah, so that's the work I currently do now. So I give my community, my Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people, resources like go to Anglicare or go somewhere where a food bank. Do you really need to borrow the payday loan for $150 and pay back $600 if you just need $50 on food? Or do you need to pay your electricity bill with that $150 when you can go to the electricity company and go on a financial hardship plan? But my Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people are so disadvantaged in my country, and this knowledge is not out there. So I'm kind of doing what Erica is doing with that knowledge, and trying to get that awareness out there as well. And just really, it's not shameful if you're going through anything this, and reach out. And I think the community needs to get together and make that known, that it's not shameful, that you may know someone who knows Erica, or have had to get that resource.
Right.
It's about sharing that resource in the community.
And having a thought partnering. I thought partner with everything that Kathy's been going through, and definitely avoiding a abusive system. We talked through every piece of it. How's she moving? How are we going to do this? She calls me. I don't have a problem talking through the moments, talking through the steps. So I can say, okay, that's the call here. Let me find out from here. That's the work. Yeah. That's the work I do. When people say, what do you do all day? I help people all day. And I help myself in helping them, because I learn a little bit more about what I need to know. Right, the language I need to use when I approach somebody about what I need, right? And understand what they're getting out of it by helping. I always watch. The person that helps me, I want to know what they think they're going to get out of it. Because that's a problem too.
Okay, so go ahead, Erica.
Yeah, I'm just saying that we have the thought partner with each other. Find that person in your life that you can have and talk things out with. Don't be impulsive. Don't be embarrassed. What's happening with you, even with your kid? Find another parent, partner, or somebody, because sometimes you have to have those intimate conversations, and you can't have it with a group of people. You don't want to go to a center or a shelter or an organization. You just want to have a one-on-one to get you started on your way of finding help and resources when you're ready. And guess what? If you never want to talk to me again after it, that's fine.
So do you think therapists are important? Therapists, that people go to therapy?
I think therapy is important, but I also think that finding a therapy is like shopping for a car.
Okay. Can't go to the first one.
The right fit, the right feel,
right?
And budget, because there are some psychologists that you pay a lot for these sessions, and you have to figure out and evaluate: is this really giving me the mileage here? Is this person? Am I getting anything out of this? Right? And most therapists will talk about that relationship. Most good ones will not just take your money every week and not even check in with where we are, or talk about the plan, the treatment plan. I mean, our psychologist can't speak right now because she's working with somebody, but she's listening. You have to really be honest to be honest. Right. Do you understand? Right. Sometimes you go to therapy and you're not really ready to be honest. They know that for a little bit, but therapy has to be something that you get something out of it.
Right.
And you got to honor yourself in that moment of your truth and accountability and your vulnerability. And if you don't feel you can be vulnerable, trust your instincts. Or if you think you're on the phone and it's just buying time, trust your instincts. But therapy is a very good way because your friends can't carry every burden.
And they will tell your business too.
That's one thing they tell you. They could be telling you business, but when you talk about the darkness, sometimes I want to hear it's too much. I have to take an emotional shower. So I know what phone calls to pick up that are emergencies, and I know what phone calls I can wait a week.
Me too.
Okay? We have to discriminate, right? But again, I'm saying we do need support systems, and we have to find the ones, try it on like shoes. Just keep trying to find something that fits.
Right.
Something's gonna fit, but you gotta try. And don't get discouraged because one thing didn't work out.
Right.
Keep trying, because recommendations, I have recommendations of psychologists all the time, that people can go to that are really good, that I thought were really great. So if you even have a recommendation for a psychologist that you use, that's a resource I could use.
Yes.
So Erica, you have somebody that's had their hand raised for a little bit.
Oh yeah. We forgetting about the people in the chat room. Sorry, Rock is gone. He ain't helping me.
Brother Osborne.
Yeah, Osborne Williams.
Yes, good evening. Wonderful conversation. I just wanted to interject here a little bit as a therapist, as a person who's working in domestic violence, human trafficking in South Florida. One of the biggest struggles that we have in really trying to curb this issue is for us to be able to come together to realize that sometimes, even as a domestic violence educator, being a person who would go out to do the presentation, they would be taken back that I was a male coming to do these presentations. And sometimes in that instance, that I used to always compare that October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. What happens in Domestic Violence Awareness Month is also Breast Cancer Awareness Month.
Right.
And I used to always share with people this very important thing is that we see that the enthusiasm that people have that we see that men, young men, and the community does around Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And we begin to try to bring that same imagery around Domestic Violence Awareness Month, because sharing that this can't be cured with just one side of people trying to fight.
Right.
One of the easiest ways to resolve a lot of these, some of these issues is for the men who are involved to have a consciousness that this is wrong, and not, as I think you guys are talking about so much about the money and the money that is and look at more of what does it mean to not be the overseer of human trafficking, but to be an asset for that to happen to somebody. And for you to have some type of understanding of healthy relationship, how a healthy relationship with women should be and young ladies should be as a man, as a young man, that you would say, this is not something that I would do, this is not something I want to be a part of, and this is something that I want to fight against. But sometimes that doesn't happen because what you see is that it becomes almost this viewpoint that there has to be an enemy. And sometimes the enemy is not all of the people on that side. There are the people who want to make the money, and they utilize the money in both ways. They utilize the young ladies to make the money. Sometimes they utilize the men to make the money because men are being human trafficked just as much as women are. But then they're using that money, that same money power, to control the people who would say, I know this is wrong, but I need money, so I'm going to go along with this horrible act just to live in this capitalist society.
R. Kelly, perfect example. R. Kelly, go ahead.
We have to start beginning to develop a way that we can coordinate and organize the people. And this goes through, I think the young lady from Australia said it the best, educating our youth young, the idea of healthy relationship, the equality of both men, young boys and young ladies together, and understand that this is not, money is not the end all, the be all. It will not make your life better. Especially if you have on your conscience that the money that you made is at someone else's misery.
Yes.
And so, this is definitely something we have to begin to look at, is really fight and as much as possible, be able to validate all of the people involved and be able to hear them and join together to fight this battle that you can't win one side. Because if we have a group of people who stand on the sideline because they feel like they're out of the battle, we can't really fight the powers that's doing the harm to our society. So that's all I wanted to share.
So what is
go ahead, Maria.
Because we 2 hours, we can talk about this forever. But what are some of the strategies? Because we're gonna do this again. We're gonna come back here a month from now, and we want to talk about. I'm not gonna give people a whole list of things to do. Give us 1 or 2 things that we could do, that we could come back next month, that we could say, I tried it and it did make a difference.
Okay. I have one.
Go ahead.
Phone usage. If you're a parent, I want you to start to monitor the phone usage. See what you can do with a healthy 10 o'clock cutoff time. Phone in your room, electronic devices off. Remember, a habit takes 30 days, right, to break, right? Mm-hmm. So 30 days is good. A month from now is great. And see if this works. I gave that advice to somebody and it actually started to work. They have to do the whole 30 days. That means the parent got to go cold turkey too. You got to go through them crying about it, talking about it, being mad about it, acting out about it, and you got to give other things that they can do. Maybe helping you make dinner, maybe doing a puzzle, maybe playing a board game. Figure out something, but you're going to go through like a withdrawal, like anything else when you withdraw from it. But see if you can do that, parents, or people that take care of, are caretakers.
And maybe Mr. Osborne, am I saying his name right? Mr. Osborne Williams, maybe he can give us a number 2 we can do, where we get 1 from a man and 1 from a woman. Mr. Osborne.
Definitely one of the great strategies used, and I think that Sister Erica clearly said it clear about this phone use, because that is the biggest access to all the negativity that we're providing. But we as the family have to begin to provide our family morals and ethics. We have the outside community doing it. So if you're going to have a phone, how about the equal amount of time that you have to use the phone? Parents utilize their children to read certain types of books and materials about themselves, about society, about ethics, about morals. And I know that a lot of times we love to say, well, we're going to read the Bible, we're going to Bible study, but there's so much literature, so much rich Black history and literature that they could be reading that will open up them. I remember reading the autobiography of Malcolm X when I was a kid, and it completely changed my whole process of why I no longer was getting involved with criminal behavior and how I became this therapist that I am today, because I realized that it was a tool, and I got one book at a young age that I had to read, changed my whole belief system and my value system, but it was introduced to me from my grandmother's house on her bookshelf that she said, I want you to read this book. And if we start to balance what our kids are intaking, and the other part of our balance is we have to balance too. One thing I learned as a teacher was we would want our kids to do things, we're going to go in the room and watch TV, and go in the room and do homework. That doesn't work that way. We have to do it with them. It doesn't work that they go do something and we don't have to. If someone got it, listen, I learned when I was in college and I was a dean of a line, I didn't get anything less than them. I had to do more than them to get them ready to come into our fraternity. So this is a kind of value that we have to put into play. You have to sacrifice. Being a parent means sacrifice. And the sacrifice is to be able to give our ethics and morals. So be able to share more knowledge with our kids and not letting them get it from the outside world that doesn't have our values and morals.
That's very true. And I like that you said Black History Month. starts February 1st. So what can we do moving forward? Every parent should give their child at least one African American that they can study. Coretta Scott King had some great books. She got books on certain leaders, Nelson Mandela. I have a group of her books, and giving children the opportunity to learn something about themselves. Because I think that if kids always think that we didn't just come from slavery, pyramids. We raised pyramids. We were builders. It is so much. We're great mathematicians, but we don't tell our children these things. So they think what they hear about us from other people is who we are. But you have to know and instill in your child that they are great. They have greatness. And I agree with that. Taking phone, or not even so much taking the phone. I like the 10 o'clock, taking it at 10 p.m. Like they used to say, it's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are? Remember that commercial?
Sister Davis.
Yes.
Why not just give them back a flip phone? I did pretty well without a phone. I did pretty well for myself. Anything they need to do on the phone, they can do on the computer.
Absolutely.
Give them a flip phone, they only make telephone calls. Because allegedly, that's what we're giving our children phones for. So we can be in contact with them. Right. So they don't need all the other stuff that come on the phone.
And
unless we just want them to have all that.
And they have all the other stuff.
My grandma, who 80-something years old, she only had a flip phone. She only used that, and that's how we contact her up there in Harlem. So I'm confused. Why do we give our kids these things that ultimately become problems for us?
Right.
But I can answer that though, because as the technology grows, you need new things. So you have an Apple phone, right? Now you now get the Apple laptop.
Apple
now
14.
You need that to pick.
Apple 14. Somebody asked me, you got the Apple 14. Why would I need an Apple 14 phone?
But then you need Apple Watch. You need everything to go together. It's got to match. It's like, you don't do Gucci and Louis together. You do all Louis, right? So what I'm saying is, it's like it's got to match up and it's got to communicate with each other. If you buy a Dell and don't have an Apple, well, now how do you transfer those things? I'm telling you, it's consumerism one-on-one.
Yes.
The more, right? It's like the more you get one thing, the more you want something else with the latest. FOMO, fear of missing out. You've heard about that. They talk about this with kids all the time. This is like now becoming some type of phenomenon. I don't know if it's a diagnosis, but there's a fear of missing out. FOMO, F-O-M-A. F-O-M-O. And people do suffer from that. They don't want to miss out. They think they're going to miss something. They don't get that text. They don't have their phone on. It's really real. And it's not made up. It's these things that have occurred because
and we get attached to, and we become attached to it too. Because my cable was cut off, and I was like, oh my God, I have to learn that I don't have to have cable.
Right.
I don't have to spend $200 and something on Spectrum, and it's really only one station I like to ride. I really like TV One. I really only I like New York One News. I could get the New York One app and just be happy. We have to learn to detach from these things. So I'm gonna have to do some detaching too.
And then it becomes a debt cycle and leading back to domestic violence, because the more you want that phone, the more, like Erica said, the watch, the laptop, then you go without paying your rent because you need the latest item, and then you get into a debt trap. Then it causes financial hardship within the family, and then you get a family breakdown. Domestic violence happens, unstable accommodation because you're so far behind in your rent, and then it just becomes a cycle, and domestic violence start, and then the homelessness starts. So it's a massive, once you start, it's a massive debt trap.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, we're gonna break some cycles.
I know that's right.
That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna have to talk once a month, and we're gonna have to break some of these cycles. And it's not only about the kids too; it's about us breaking cycles too, because our kids they follow us. And if we're doing madness and craziness, then that's what our children are doing. Perfect example: my granddaughter. You know, she goes to Sasulu, right?
Erica, she does. I was aboard that school.
And she was suspended. 5 years old, suspended.
Oh, I'll find out in the board meeting what happened.
Yeah, they saying one thing, we don't see it.
Let's talk about this.
Yeah. So
let me know.
So we have to really, I think some of the behaviors that my granddaughter has is because of some of the things that her mother does. And I had to say to my daughter the other day, do you know that some of the things that she's doing is because you have allowed her to see too much at 5 years old.
Yeah.
And then, you know, she tries to tell me something about, okay, I made the mistake. I did some things that I should not have done, but that is not a reason for you to continue the cycle. You have to stop it. So you have to, everything she sees and she mimics is because of us. So I try to keep our world, her being a child, because this is the problem with our children. They're not children anymore. They're exposed to too much shit.
Yep.
They should not be exposed to.
And on TV as well.
On TV.
Yeah.
And like my grandbaby wants my phone, and then when I'm looking at her, what are you watching? Oh, I'm watching. I said, you watching some crazy people. Some of this adult stuff, like Bluey. Kids love Bluey. Bluey, it's out of Australia, Bluey.
Oh, okay.
It's a cartoon. And these kids, these is grown-ass cartoons, the stuff that they be saying. And these kids love Bluey.
The one thing that I don't like is what we call back home is parenting with technology. It's when the baby is still in the pram and the baby can unlock your iPhone at like 12 months old and can navigate YouTube by 18 months old. Parenting with technology.
Okay.
Yeah, and I see that a lot, especially in domestic violence. We see that as a coping mechanism that the mum will do. Yeah, so we see that a lot, young babies knowing how to unlock iPhones and by 18 months old can navigate YouTube to get onto their favorite shows. Yeah.
So we have a lot of work to do.
Yeah, that's a lot of work to do. There's a lot of work to do.
Because it also, all of this that they're learning is an easy way for it to become trafficking.
Yeah.
I like this. I like my grandbaby. She feels every time she go to the store, she has to get something. And I told my daughter, what is wrong with you? Oh, when I was young, you didn't let me. What? Didn't let you? You didn't need it. What would let you what?
In terms of the trafficking, I'm not sure if you guys had these YouTube videos a couple of years ago and recent where they're baby shows, but then like 2 minutes in it will cut to adult themes like pornography and all of those. It was really big on YouTube, and just recently it happened on TikTok when it was a children's thing on TikTok, and then it cut into someone committing suicide. So
Get out of here.
We have to be aware of what our children are actually
no more
watching.
YouTube. Yeah, no more YouTube. I didn't even know that. You told me something new. I did not know that.
Yeah, it was very big for a couple of months. Yeah.
Okay, so we got a lot of work to do. And so now the two takeaways we have, take the phone from your child by 10 p.m. And like Mr. Williams said, getting them to read, give them a book to read. A book, Black History Month is coming up. Give them a certain person that Emmett Till. Well, that might be a little harsh for young kids.
Nah, let them have it. They need that. You need that. Ain't nothing.
That's harsh when they watching on TikTok.
Yeah.
They need that.
Yeah. You're right. If they can be on TikTok, why can't they see Emmett Till? And know the story. And actually the story is getting ready to come out. Who played the who's playing it? It's getting ready to come out. Dang, I saw it the other day.
Didn't Jay-Z or Kanye put that together or something? It's something.
I don't know, but
it had something to do with it.
Yeah. And so they're doing a whole story around Emmett Till and his mother. Right. I had the opportunity of meeting Emmett Till's mother actually with Betty Shabazz.
Oh, wow. Okay.
At Sylvia's.
Wow.
Right, they were together, and my daughter Jonna, she had the opportunity to meet them both, and she was just blown away. Yeah, so we don't have these opportunities. We lost Sidney Poitier.
Yep.
I mean, these greats that we had, Maya Angelou, all of these great people that we have, it seemed like they're not being birthed anymore. Or maybe they are being birthed, but we don't know about it because the media is so flooded with bullshit.
Right.
Yeah.
The real shiners, we're not hearing about those.
Well, I think it's been the death of the intellectual, right? We celebrate stupidity, right? And we shun the smart person in the room, the intellectual.
They've been doing that forever, though. They've been doing that forever.
No. Because when she's talking about Sidney Poitier and Harry Belafonte and all these black entertainers that actually had something
James
to say,
Baldwin,
that had a brain, then that's what we did. And now, as we moved into our generation, we shun.
No, I'm just saying, I think that we didn't shun it, we didn't teach. I don't know how many people taught James Baldwin when I was in junior high school. I mean, my point is that you growing up with all these great people that had great things to say. I mean, some people didn't know about Nina Simone until last year or 2 years ago when they saw the documentary.
Right.
I mean, what I'm saying is that those things were not taught. They stopped that in our educational system. You had to take a Black history course in college to get some of this knowledge. It was not just, let's talk about James Baldwin, let's talk about Audre Lorde.
I just want to be clear, too, so you understand where I'm at. White people are stupid, too. Like, I want to be clear. That's how Donald Trump got in. You're looking at the MAGAs. You're looking at all that crazy shit going on. As a society, you have to understand, we're talking about we're the greatest country in the world, and that's bullshit. You understand what I'm saying? In math, we're like 15 in the world, right? In birth fatalities, we're like number 100 in the world. You understand what I'm saying?
And Black people are on the front line.
Right. So as a society, we've become very stupid. You know what I'm saying? It isn't just Black people that became stupid. It's the whole American society has become stupid.
Absolutely.
I wouldn't say that.
I would agree.
I wouldn't say
that they want you to
stupid.
believe that.
No.
I wouldn't say it was stupid. I would say that
I've seen it on TV in real time. This isn't
It's TV.
No.
It's TV
No. Okay.
entertainment.
All right.
Okay,
I've
let
talked
Mr.
to
Williams.
All right, go ahead.
Let Mr. Williams speak.
Mr. Williams,
I would not say that we're stupid. I would say that our interests, because this segment was saying that we had great leaders. We have great leaders today.
Yeah.
But they're not important.
Nope.
Our interest is more into people who find money. We know more about people that make millions of dollars in this country than we know about our next door neighbor who might be struggling. Because that is what's important in our society. We live in a capitalist society. That's what's important. We don't talk about the local activists who are doing things to better our community or do things that's important. No one, even the news doesn't talk about them.
Right.
No one highlights them in the news. We rather talk about fake celebrities who do, as you would say, stupid things. And I agree. Those people who are doing stupid things get all the attention, and our regular new leaders that we do have leaders. But they can't get a minute of shine because people are more interested in showing people that I would say are clowning around and have big money.
Because I'm going to tell you, Mr. Williams, let me tell you what's crazy. That Kim Kardashian's daughter, the oldest one, what's her name? North. Has almost 86,000 viewers. Why does she have 86,000? What, she's singing a damn dumbass song every day and doing crazy shit. Why does she have 86? And why does she have an account?
In the first place.
In the first place. Why are you exposing her to people's opinions and all that kind of stuff? That's crazy.
Right.
You know, Maria, the point I want to make is that, remember, the people that are getting the airtime are paying for that airtime. So a local activist, you know, like you or me, if we want to do a commercial, we don't have to put some money together. They don't have to sell a lot of clothes.
Right.
We got to do something, and we will put our own public service announcement out. Now, if they sponsor you to do a public service announcement, now the only problem I have with that is I don't want them to control my message.
Right.
But if I'm paying for my airtime, because I used to work, I did this as an intern at NBC, working in airtime. I know how this works, okay? They pay for that time. So again, it's back to how much money you have to make that time. And then think about this. If she's a teenager, she's a young girl, I think she's a 10-digit kid.
Yeah, she's 10, but she just turned 10, yeah.
So what 10-year-old will ever obtain that? What do they have to do? So it's almost like these impossible things, right? But there are 10-year-olds that are business entrepreneurs, that their stuff is in Whole Foods. But they go on the media that we see them on is like, I fly because I can because they can fly, or you see them on different outlets that are not national, right? But you see them on your newsfeed because your algorithm says, I like Black history. Right. I like Black things.
Right.
So we would have to really make sure that someone like her at 10 is getting the exposure, and that comes down to the dollar and the airtime that's bought.
Right.
That's it. that's the thing that's so pervasive about it, is that it's that money that's ruling everything.
The bag. They say the bag.
And I would just like to kind of, there was something Ron said, and it was a little bit of capitalism involved in what Ron had said. And I have to say that the dream of capitalism, right? Capitalism without either socialism or communism is slavery, right? And the reason being is capitalism needs socialism so that you take care of the people on the bottom.
That's right.
Right?
You got it.
The way that capitalism is now, it's slavery. It's let me give the bid to the cheapest guy with the cheapest labor with the cheapest shit.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's it.
Capitalism works with socialism. It's a hand-in-hand thing. So when capitalism was emerging in the 1900s, coming out of slavery, right? There was a socialist thing to it, especially after World War II. Small businesses took care of their workers. They paid them a fair wage. And then once we got into this thing with China, that's what killed the country. What you're looking at in any aspect of what y'all talking about, in terms of this get the bag, is you're looking at capitalism where get the bag, I'm gonna get the bag and fuck you. You understand what I'm saying? I'm gonna get the bag, I'm not gonna help my people. I'm gonna get the bag and it's all about me. No. I get the bag and then I go back, I'll be like, come on, y'all, I got the bag. Let's create something. Let's do something, which is the socialism aspect of it. Or communism, whatever you wanna call it. But we take the money, we hold the money, we greedy with the money, and it's mine. Just to be clear, mine is the mind state of the devil. Mm-hmm. God is a giving God. I'm not trying to preach, I'm just telling the truth.
Right.
The whole object of God is to give and love and to share. So to be selfish is a devilish act. That's what people gotta understand. You gotta give, because we're made to be a giving. We're supposed to be a community of givers, not I give to you and then you take and you take and you take. No, you give to me, I give to you.
We reciprocate,
and we reciprocate, and that comes back. You know what I'm saying? So I just wanted to address that. You said something, Ron, about it sort of borderline on capitalism, and I just wanted to really explain capitalism from my perspective, how I think it fucking went south.
Yeah. You in the giving move today? Because I need some of my phone bill to be paid for my phone get cut off.
See, there go Maria on me. Maria always on me.
I'm a good listener.
Maria paying attention.
So you know it is 7:30, and I am thankful for the 29 people that's still on. Somebody has a book up, McCullough. Count 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, count animals with me, 1, 2, 3. Is that book? Oh, and they produced the book. Oh, how wonderful.
Where do you see that at?
Right here. Is her name?
Is that on Facebook?
Danira
McCullough.
Yeah, Danira McCullough.
Is that on Zoom?
Yeah, this is on Zoom. Danira McCullough. Unmute yourself before we leave. I want to hear about your book. How wonderful.
Yes. Hi. How are you doing?
And how can we get a copy? I want to get a copy for my grandbaby.
Yes. You can actually get a copy off of Amazon if you want to. And I can put my website on here as well. But just to talk a little bit about the book, the inspiration came from my son, who was 3 at the time. He's now 4. So I wanted something that was educational for my son, as well as having a Black character featured on the cover and in the book, but also like within the book showing diversity as well. So that was the whole purpose of having the book. And one of the other things that I saw was I always saw these counting books and they will always stop at 10. And at a young age, like my son, he was already, we already got 1 through 10 down pat. Where is the extension learning part of it, where I don't have to buy an additional book to get a little bit further from that? So what I did is in the back of the book, I added some extension learning. That way, if a child wants to go past 10, they can go past 10. Everyone learns at their own pace. So I wrote a story about our different trips to the zoo. We've been to like the Bronx Zoo, Central Park Zoo, Zoo Atlanta, Columbia, the Riverbank Zoo in Columbia, South Carolina as well. So I wrote that book and my son loves it. I made sure that he was a part of the story. He reads it all the time. He actually memorizes the story as well. So I used it as a learning tool to help him. And what I also did was I did the coloring book where I added different activities, pictures from the actual story where they can actually color from the story as well. So I just added a few things that help with writing, counting, identification of numbers. So I did, that's why I did the 2 books.
So I have a question.
I love that.
Sure.
You can purchase the book, right?
Mm-hmm.
How many volumes are there? Just one book?
Yeah, so there's one reading book and then there's one coloring and activity book. So it's technically 2 books.
Okay. I like to see the book.
Is it possible for you to put the link in here? Because I'm actually trying to buy it now on Amazon, but I don't see it.
Oh, sure. That's not a problem.
Yeah,
and that's what I'm doing right now.
Put the link in the chat.
Oh, Mr. Osborne is the Colored Only Cafe, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. special, Monday the 17th, 9 to 10 p.m. is Central, is exclusively on Zoom. Oh, I'm going to do this. Dark Roast. Oh, this is nice. Hosted by Mr. Talon Usaver Washington and Dr. Ron Christopher Osborne Williams. Oh, that's great. Okay, I'm a go.
Have you been able to get that book into the Department of Education?
Oh, OSG. She needs to get.
I have not.
Girl,
and that's one of the goals that I want to get to. But trying to find the avenue to get to that, that's where I'm trying to figure out that process.
Well, you need to let me introduce you to Mr. We call him Rock Logic, but Mr. Chris Charles Wood Smith, because he works with OSG, which is 100+ principals across the country, and they all get together on Thursday. She need to come on a Thursday meeting and talk about her book to the principals.
Yeah, you need to come on a Thursday meeting.
Yeah,
because we do 100. OSG is a formulation of assembly of 100 principals across New York City, and really even outside of the city, out of state.
And what does OSG stand for?
Off school grounds.
And they build studios, and
schools, all kinds of things.
Yeah, yeah.
So you might want to get piped in. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think that would be good, Miss McCullough. You need to get his information. He's on Friday too, but Rock, you should put your email or something in there so she can get in contact. They can help you with the sales of your books, girl.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what I'm networking.
Yeah.
Your network is
awesome.
your net worth.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Thank you. And I did put my email within the chat.
I'm gonna put my email in. I think we're amongst friends, so I don't think I'm gonna get trolled.
Yeah, we won't sex traffic you.
So I'll put my email in.
And this is what we need more of, more community sharing like that. There might be a younger person out there who doesn't know how to write a book. So she may be able to come into the community and do something with the kids, let them know that you can be whatever you want to be. And she's a great example of that. So
I can definitely take this book to Cecula Walker because we're always looking for new material.
Yes.
So, we're all connected. And that's the great thing, Maria, right? That we're in so many different spaces, but it's all for collaboration and to make ourselves greater, our community stronger, more loving, nurturing. I mean, that's where we really need to get to. When you talk about being morally conscious, socially conscious, a caring community, I really think that it really comes down to us really going back to those basic things that are not so basic anymore.
Well, that's our takeaway because we're gonna get back together next month. Next month. We're gonna do what is this? The second week. We're gonna have another meeting, and we're gonna talk about some of the things that we tried out. And we're gonna talk about. I'm gonna do the phone with my 5-year-old, my grandbaby. I'm gonna take the phone. She ain't gonna get the phone. Forget 10 p.m. because she already sleep. So I'm gonna do it in the daytime, and then get her to read. I have a whole bunch of Black History children's books in my house, and I'm gonna give her a task for Black History Month to read this book with her and to let her be able to tell about the character.
Yeah, I mean, you got to, and I saw, when I stepped out, I saw you talking about detaching. You have to teach people to detach. It's almost like a cleansing when you do it. You know what I'm saying? I detach from my phone. There's times when I put my phone in another room and I don't look at it, I don't touch it, I just do other shit. That's all I do. It drives people crazy because people are like, I called you, I texted you, you didn't respond. I'm like, well, because you're not supposed to have 24-hour access to me anyway. I need my time. That's what I'm saying. Like, I detach.
That's right.
And that's what traffic.
Healthy.
And isn't that a part of trafficking too? People having too much access to
you.
Right.
Yeah. You're special. You're precious. You don't have to talk to everybody and give your energy away.
Right.
You know, it's a vibration thing. You can replenish. You gotta make it.
That's the word, Erica. That's the word. I gotta replenish. I can't keep going. You understand what I'm saying?
Even the phone can't keep going. It has to charge at some point. You got to put it on a charger, which limits how far you move in a room in space. Think about it.
So I put it down.
That's deep. That's deep.
Detach. I don't answer emails. I don't answer the phone. No text. I'm not on social media. And it might be, 8 hours, 10 hours. Sometimes, if I'm really in that mood, it'll be a whole day that I'm on that shit. That I'm just off doing something else. Something that I don't want to take pictures of. Something that's private for me. Something that's my moment. You know what I'm saying? Just for me and maybe whoever my crew is that I'm with, and we're just having our time.
That's it right there. Right? Our time. What does it look like? What does that look like, your time?
Right. What does that look like? Our time looks like this. Yeah. It's simple.
Yeah.
And many people
leave the damn phone home.
Yeah. And because people don't know what my time looks like.
Right. My time is when I put this phone down, because here's the deal. What we have to understand is, right, we can't control
nothing.
The people that call you, the text messages. You can't control that shit. So in order for you to control it, you got to take the phone and put it away. Right. Take the conduit, put it away, get away from it, and that's how you control it.
And not complain. Oh, everybody's calling me. Oh, I don't get a break. No. Yes, you can. You can put your phone down. You get a break.
I put that shit on mute. I don't know what's happening. And then when I decide that I want to pick it up, I'll pick it up and be like, okay, let me see what happened. But you have to do that as an exercise to recharge your battery. Because if you remember back in the days, and I'm thinking that everybody on this call is 40, 50, and 60. When you left your house, you didn't even have an answer machine. They called and that shit just rang. That's right. And then you had a busy signal. You had a busy signal and you was on the line.
Yep. So they had to wait.
They had to wait.
But you know what? But you know what's so funny? When you bring that up, that's when we got messed up with that call waiting. Remember?
Call waiting.
Now that interrupts the phone call you had before to this. So now they started confusing things.
Erica, you're right. Because that was the first step to somebody having more access.
Access, yes.
Because when you had the busy talk, I'm on the phone. Boop, boop, boop. Yeah. And you continued your conversation. Right?
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden it was like, oh, girl, I got to click over. Boop. Hey, girl, what's going on with you? Now, you're right.
And then you put that next person on hold till they gotta hang up.
And then they added, now you can do the 3-way. Right. Now don't worry about the call wait. Now y'all all three can talk.
Now we can all talk now. Now we're going. Yeah. And you're so right, because those were the steps.
It escalated and we loved it. We thought it was great. Like, more convenience. But then what did it do to our community? What did it do to our children? What did it do to our relationships?
Nobody wants to wait for nothing now.
Nobody want to wait. And that's
our finances. What did it do to our finances?
And when I put the phone down, in the beginning, it used to wreak havoc on my relationship. Right? Because it was like, why are you not answering the phone? I'm like, because I was asleep. I put the shit down. I go to, listen, and sleep for me can happen at 6 o'clock in 6 p.m. I'm like, I'm just going to go to sleep. I'm going to take an old man afternoon nap at 3 o'clock. Sleep happens anytime after 55.
I know that's right.
You understand what I'm saying? So, and then, she had to understand and be like, oh, well, okay, well, this is, he disconnects. There's nothing personal. He just disconnects. And now she's very understanding of that. Because even if I'm around her, I'll disconnect. I'll be like, we're going to disconnect. We ain't going to, let's just have our time. Because the rest of my life is so busy and so accessible to so many people that I got to find time for even us to have our little space. You know what I'm saying? And that's the exercise that everyone on this call needs to teach their children and yourselves. You got to be able to put the fucking phone down and just be like, you know what? Let me just leave this here and let me go watch a movie uninterrupted. Let me do some things that I used to do. You know why you don't got a hobby? Because your hobby is your phone.
That's right.
That's why you ain't got a hobby.
That's right.
But the hobby turned into a habit.
Right.
That's right.
Right. The hobby's a habit.
People laugh at me. I got a train set in the middle of my living room.
I saw that train set.
Full-blown train set. And that's my hobby. So I sit there with my little hobby and I add to it and I put stuff on it. But what was crazy about that, when you really think about it, is those hobbies as kids kept us busy. Building the model cars with our hands, painting with water paints.
Yeah.
Well, the critical thinking was happening when you were doing that.
Exactly.
You were thinking. Right. You were problem solving. You were problem solving. You were hands-on. It was tactile. It was all that.
Yes.
This is telling you what to think.
Right.
This is telling you what to think, what to do, and what happens if you don't think like this.
Exactly.
No likes.
No likes.
If you don't do your story right, if you don't set your story up and do the right things in your story, no one's going to share it.
Right.
That's so true.
I mean,
that's true.
This is how this works.
And everybody's on TikTok now, Erica, too, trying to build their
I put my thing on TikTok. I get like 4 likes, but I don't care because that's 4 I can save a life.
Right. That's 4 people.
Like that
that's right. That's right. That's right.
I only need 1 and be happy.
Only need 1. Only one.
Because that 1, that light, that's a life I'm talking about. Not that's priceless.
Yeah.
That's priceless. There's no price on that.
There's no price on one life.
And I tell people, I don't care, you got 1 million followers. Will any of those 1 million followers, if you were in a critical thing in your life, will they save your life?
True.
And the ones that will are because they're they love you because you're a celebrity. That's the most trying shit right now. If you're a celebrity, that makes your life more important than if you're not a celebrity. What the hell does that mean? That's ridiculous. Sad. It's very sad. It's very sad.
I asked the people, how many people, kids, do you know a judge, a lawyer, law enforcement, a teacher, a doctor, a dentist? Dentists are very important when you talk about domestic violence, sex trafficking. We won't get into that, but that's another topic. But who do you have in your life? Who do you know? Who's in your, if you need help, who can you call for real, for real?
Right, for real.
I'm not talking about that, I'm just going to tell my friend to try to get, no. Who is in, where's your tool?
Remember your 5 favorite people in your phone? Remember that?
Yeah.
I got Rock Logic in mine because he going to help me with my phone bill.
You have to make sure that people in your life, in some way, you're pouring into theirs and you're pouring into yours. It's reciprocal, not just one way.
Yes.
But how do you even add to your life that your friend is a lawyer? Well, how do you add into their life to say you have a friend that's a lawyer? That's not fun either. No one wants to just be around you because you think it's a status symbol.
Right.
I'm not your status symbol.
But can you give back?
And you also have to remind people, don't idolize Maria Davis. Don't idolize Erica Gillen. Don't idolize Dr. Corlane Griffith. Don't idolize Ron Osborne. You can't idolize people because we will let you down.
Right. Human.
That's why they say never meet your heroes. Because we'll let you down. If you actually met your favorite celebrity in person, you'd be very disappointed to find out the person they actually are. 'Cause a
And that's the
person,
thing. What's going on right now, aren't we?
Right,
Or
the
we don't
person-
even know if they're really who they are, or is it a marketing scheme?
no. Listen, it's
Girl.
all marketing because listen.
Right.
Here's my first experience, and I'm gonna give it to you. My first experience of the ultimate marketing scheme was Whitney Houston, right? She had the album cover, the first album cover, Whitney, right? God bless the day. God bless the day. And then I had the opportunity of working with her in the studio. And she came to the studio. And she was the exact opposite of what was on the album cover. She was cussing. She was like, listen, nigga, man, we got to get this shit together. I don't know what the fuck's going on here. I was like, oh, my God. Whitney.
Clutch my pearls.
Not you. And you know what I'm saying?
She ain't have a little CR on it with it. Just,
No.
she said crack is whack.
But I'm just saying. We saw the TV show, but that was a marketing thing.
Yeah.
Right? So once again, I'll say you never want to really meet your heroes because they're not who you think they are. Right? People meet me and I'm not who they think I am. They think I'm one thing and they're like, this nigga's a whole different thing.
Yeah, you confused me, but go ahead. Shake what your mama gave you.
Yeah, I'm a very confusing individual, you know what I'm saying? So I get that, but that's kind of what that is. I don't know where we were at on that conversation, but I enjoyed it.
No, that was good. That was
Yeah.
good. That was good. So we're going to sign off, and we want to thank all the people that are still in the room.
Yes,
still
Bernie
there?
Calendar.
Yes.
I got Denise Anthony from Nebraska.
Oh, wow.
I mean, we got some people in here. Courtney McLean, she works with me. When I do theater, social impact through theater in the streets, and we do workshops. That's my Courtney. She does work with me with the children with educational theater impact work. So I mean, there's
We
some
got
people on this
George
call that stay
Ball, Harrison Potts, Carl Brown, my keyboard
Kashonda,
player.
Carl's been on there.
Carasso,
Keshonda, Kevin, Ampho, Ed,
Carl,
Kim Denise,
yeah.
M1,
Kelvin,
Nadia,
I just want to say, if you're in my voice,
Brenda.
please subscribe to our YouTube channel. We have a YouTube channel called Groovy Track. That's GROOVEYTRAC. Go to YouTube, go to Groovy Track, and subscribe, because ultimately what we're trying to do, and you'll know what it is, we're trying to monetize the station. But we can't monetize the station until we reach 1,000 subscribers. So that's the idea.
What number are you at now?
We're at about 400 subscribers.
Oh, okay.
I need 1,000.
Oh.
And then we can monetize the station and we can do this. Outside of that, we basically do this out of our pocket.
Yeah.
That's kind of the deal.
He's doing it out of his pocket because
Yes, I do it out of my pocket.
I'm one of his babies on the show that just started walking.
So if you can subscribe to Groovy Track, it would be a great help. We also have a Cash App. Boardwalk Podcast is the Cash App. If you want to donate, that would be super cool. You know what I'm saying? And, we're going to continue to bring this programming like we bring it. We've been bringing that fire, especially for the last month since we've been back off a hiatus.
And since Maria Davis can't be silenced.
That's right. Once Maria came on, hold on.
Yes.
We've had phenomenal guests, phenomenal interviews, and it's been the best. Like, it's been the best. Like, I'm always promoting her podcast. I mean, from Granddaddy IU being on, and
Talent,
and what was
Jimmy Love.
Jimmy Love was on.
Dr. Lucille Scott.
Yeah, I mean, just
Uncle Ralph
Uncle
video
Ralph was
music box.
on.
Please remember to support Uncle Ralph and him. What is he doing? Changing his film. He's digitizing. He's digitizing.
He's digitizing all of the
music
videos.
box. Yes,
right?
yes.
So all the videos are on these cassettes. So he's converting them to digital, which can cost a considerable amount of money.
Yeah.
So that's what he's doing. So these things are happening, y'all. You know what I'm saying?
And we gotta invest in what we are doing
in us
versus investing in Louis and Vuitton and buying all the champagne and the this and that. Investing in people that
gotta
stop.
Here.
That's right. I'm gonna get me some gotta stop for Black History Month. I'm gonna get me some gotta stop gear because when we do this, we're gonna do this the second week in February.
Yeah.
So I have to have my gotta stop gear by then. And
Let's do it.
For Black History Month.
What you got? You got
Yeah, I got
hoodies?
the
You
red,
got
black, and
hoodies?
green.
You got hoodies
Yep.
and stuff?
I got everything. Listen, you go on that website, it's crazy right now.
Yeah,
and I'm giving 10% off if you get the blue line, the wear blue line. But listen, let me know what you want, what you like. Let me know what you need.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing, the messaging is I'm doing really, really well. But again, it's about spreading the message. And once somebody wears something, like, I'm wearing that, I know where I want to wear that at. They have a specific thing that they want, and that's how they do it.
Right on.
Yeah.
You know, but I got people that's like the yoga pants, and they like it's cool message, and they wear it. And so I'm getting a lot of people from different states now aboard this thing, Yeah. But Harlem gives me a lot of love when I walk out in the street. Now I have to say, Harlem will let you know if you're correct.
Yes, they sure
let you know
will.
real quick.
Yeah, Harlem is a fashion
So I
capital
want
of
to
the
tell
world.
everybody my website, www.can'tbesilenced.org. Please visit me. And make sure y'all hashtag me, Maria Davis, hashtag Maria Davis, hashtag Can't Be Silenced podcast. Because there's some girl on hashtag that's trying to out hashtag me. Some corny girl with
hashtag wars.
Hashtag wars. So I'm hashtagging a lot, but I need new people to hashtag me.
Okay.
And then we're celebrating. Erica, you should try to come by Wednesday. We're celebrating Gary and that's Rock's other partner and their birthday. Rock's birthday was early this month. Yeah, so we're celebrating his birthday on Wednesday.
I'm going to come by.
Yeah, come through. I'd like to meet you in person.
Yeah, meet her in person. She's good looking, fabulous, and she gonna wear some gotta stop stuff.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
That's all I got.
Yeah, I'm gonna perform that night.
And Deneen Womack is my other partner who's normally in the studio. We want to thank Mandy.
Thank you.
For all her important information, and her son is gonna be performing on Wednesday.
Baba T, yes.
Baba T on Wednesday.
His first U.S. performance ever.
Wow.
Happens on your stage.
Good. Good thing
Congratulations.
it wasn't on your stage. Shake what your mama gave ya. Baba T, you wouldn't have no one to know him back in them days.
Thank you guys for letting me have some airtime with the issues that we experience at home, and it's very similar to what you're experiencing.
I'm gonna have to come to what is it? Land Down Under?
Yeah, definitely.
Because I used to love Crocodile Dundee. I used to love that. I used to love Crocodile Dundee.
You see,
that's terrible.
That's the only shit we know for Australia.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
There's so
Crocodile Dundee is our point of reference.
But let me tell you, at least that's a good point of reference because people to come here and think that all black people steal and rob. So at least Crocodile Dundee's a good thing.
It's Crocodile. This is a knife. Like that's our point of reference. It was mine too till I went to Australia.
Yeah,
Once I went,
so
it was
I need to go to Australia.
Yes,
so we need to bring the gotta stop message and can't be silenced message to Australia.
Let's do that.
It just got there.
Yeah.
Because
how about you come down and do a show down under?
Because there was a big Australian audience on my YouTube feed.
Really?
And you guys, yeah. Because Mandy's here and Baba T's here, and the Australian public has been supporting every time they come on the show. They're in the chat. They're talking
Wonderful.
So. That happened. That actually happened.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Mandy. Mandy, what's your last name?
Oh, Cameron.
Cameron?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right.
Mandy, let's stay in touch. I'll get your information from Maria. We'll stay.
Well, you'll see her on Wednesday. If you come, Erica, she's gonna be there on Wednesday.
Okay, Wednesday.
So anybody that wants to come out, Mad Wednesdays. I've been doing it since 1994. And I've been in many different places, but I'm at the Shrine in Harlem, and it's every third Wednesday of the month.
Where's the Shrine at?
2271 Adam Clayton Powell Jr. Boulevard on the corner of, it's between 133rd and 134th Street on the uptown side in Harlem. Doors open at 8 p.m. The food is incredible. The drinks are incredible. And I'm inviting all of you. If you come and you say, Can't Be Silenced podcast, it'll be $10. If you don't say it, I'm gonna hit you for $20.
There you go.
And you gotta have your vaccine card. You gotta be vaccinated.
And you got your coupon now.
You got your right. You got
Can't
your
Be Silenced coupon.
Can't Be Silenced coupon. But please make sure you hashtag Maria Davis and hashtag Can't Be Silenced podcast and hashtag Mad Wednesday too. Boo boo.
Definitely. Thank you.
And we want to
It's been a pleasure.
You're welcome. And we want to thank Brand Elevation Marketing for all of the flyers and all the great things that they put together
Really nice.
for
Nice work.
all my events. And that's Gwen Kingsbury and Deneen Womack. And I want to thank you for listening in. We had a big audience today. With that, very thankful, and we're thankful for the ones that are still on. God bless you, and we're on every Monday at 5 p.m. if you want to come back and join us. I don't know who's going to be the guest next week, but somebody important.
No doubt.
But we will have Erica back in February, the second Wednesday in February. We will continue the conversation.
That's Teen Dating Violence Awareness and Prevention Month.
Oh, okay. All right. So we back on for Teen Dating Violence and Awareness.
That's for the purple and the orange.
Okay, purple and orange.
Let's do it again.
Let's do it again. And it's Black History Month.
Yes, and it's Black History Month. Yep. Gotta stop killing us. Yes.
Let's go to work, y'all. I'll see you.
Love you. God bless you.
Wednesday.
And I'll see you Mad Wednesday.
Peace.
This is one of the artists that I really, really support. She's been in the HIV/AIDS movement with me. Used to go to all the AIDS hospitals and the children hospitals and perform, but she is my sister. Deshawn Nicole. You can follow her too. Go to her website, DeshawnNicole.com. And I just love, this is one of her new songs that's out right now. You can buy it. But she's a phenomenal sister. Actually, the wife of Carl Brown, my keyboard player. So enjoy.